Before returning to the college entrance exam, I became popular in the scientific community. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 76, Clever Trick. If they couldn't get a job during their student years, they still had a postgraduate appointment. King had the patience and treatment to wait. If they couldn't wait, they would be happy to cause trouble for Peking University. Li Yixing and teacher Cheng were furious. Feng and King were shameless. The remaining 5 team members felt that they had learned a lot again. My God is mighty. May my God live forever. They were now completely transformed into Wu Tong's mindless boasting. A perfect score of 750, a perfect score of 750. God is indeed a god. Even if the 5 of them were tied together, they couldn't do it. Let's go. The teacher is happy and will treat you to a big meal. Let's celebrate Wu Tong and all your hard work during this period. Facing the students, Li Yixing easily relieved the frustration that King had just given him, and replaced it with a full heart. They're all good kids. On the way, Wu Tong had time to check his phone. There were a bunch of text messages from various universities, all expressing congratulations and blessings with similar meanings. Just because they had no hope of recruiting students didn't mean they couldn't offer their congratulations. Impressing such a future top scholar in advance, inviting them to give a lecture or become an honorary professor would surely enhance the university's reputation. Wu Tong politely thanked each and every one of them. Regardless, it was a gesture of kindness from the universities, and she appreciated it all. Everyone around her, not just her teammates but even the 2 teachers, was filled with envy. Honestly, even their maddest achievements didn't get such treatment. As expected, their own child was beloved by everyone, so they had to keep an eye on him. A pack of hungry wolves were watching covetously. Fortunately, Wu Tong's file had already been transferred to Peking University. At midnight on June 25th, Luo Zhenping and other teachers at Xinchang No. 1 High School were at their computers, checking and refreshing their computers several times. Wu Tong's results were immediately visible. Full marks in all subjects, for a total score of 750, the teachers were overjoyed. What a great achievement. This child truly has done so well. Xiao Mingwei gritted his teeth. This year, thanks to Wu Tong's remarkable rise, Xinchang No. 1 High School had received considerable support and resources from the provincial, municipal, and county education systems. They still had some funds, and with the help of society, they had allocated 50,000 yuan to reward this outstanding student who had brought so much honor and support to the school. One should always remember the well-digger. If it weren't for Wu Tong's exceptional performance, who would have known that Xinchang No. 1 High School, a regular high school in a remote county, could earn him more scholarships? They couldn't afford to treat Wu Tong unfairly. This child would become the star of Xinchang No. 1 High School, a renowned alumnus whose influence would continue unabated. Banners were hung throughout Xinchang No. 1 High School, with enthusiastic messages of congratulations flying. Passers-by, upon seeing the perfect scorer and the words Beijing University, a university entrance exam champion, were overwhelmed with a sense of pride, a mixture of emotions, and the pain of looking at other children and anticipating their own. The Jin and Wu family members were also waiting to check the time. 2 computers were placed side by side, with Wu Jingzhong and Jin Yuan sitting at the front, waiting to check. They had logged in advance and entered the admission ticket numbers of both children. One computer belonged to the Jin family, and the other was a gift from Wu Tong to Jin Xin to celebrate his hard work, good scores in the college entrance examination, and the achievement of his first choice. It was now being held by Jin Yuan, waiting for the results to come out. If he did well, it would belong to him. Wu Tong bought a computer because she had to use Teacher Li's laptop to organize her thesis. She felt that she needed a laptop that was easy to carry around, for emergency use and to easily check information. She received a reminder from Mr. Wiles in her mailbox, asking her to follow and use the Arxiv website. There was still a lot of interesting content there, and she could also keep up with many new things in the academic world. Following the recommendations of her teachers and friends, she bought 2 well-equipped laptops, bringing one home for Jinzin and installing a desktop computer for her parents to use for research, surfing the internet, listening to music, playing games, catching up on variety shows and TV series, and simply relaxing. She also received gifts for her grandfather, her uncle, and everyone else. As soon as her bonus came in, Wu Tong splashed out, buying numerous gifts for her family. When the time came, Wu Jingzhong and Jin Yuan quickly clicked on their results. Wu Tong had to try several times to log in, but Jinzin's results were instantly accessible. Hurry up, check out Tong and Xingxin's results, Jin Yuan, accompanied by a group of women, urged them. 709. Jingxin broke 700. Total score. 709. Jin Yuan's hands trembled with excitement as he checked his results. As soon as he saw the total, he exclaimed. No one complained about his loudness. A year ago, they would never have imagined Jinzin could achieve this score. 709, not bad, not bad. Xingxin did really well on the test this time. Jin Yuan patted his grandson's shoulder with satisfaction, looking like a real man. Thanks to Tong, most of this is Tong's credit, Su Mifang praised Jin Yu with gratitude. Tong had paved a path to success for her little brother, and she would be grateful forever. Just as they were about to take a closer look at Jinzin's results, Wu Jingzhong finally successfully updated Wu Tong's results. Tong took the test. Wu Jingzhong's throat was dry. His daughter's hard work this year had finally paid off. My sister is amazing. She got a perfect 750. Jinzin leaned closer to the screen, her eyes widening at the score displayed. Even though Wu Tong had predicted the news during the day, the family was still shocked to see the news in person. Their Tong was truly amazing. Oh, my Baoni Uni is so amazing. She gets all the marks she wants. She must be exhausted. This is the bad thing about Tong going to Beijing to study. I can't help Tong with his tittering. Old Mrs. Jin sighed with regret. For an old lady, she is very happy that her child did well in the exam, and she also feels sorry for the child's hard work. Jinzin wanted to say, there is no need for that. It is really easy for his sister to get this score. It is better to tutor him. They, the poor students, have worked hard to get those marks. I heard that Tong's school has allocated a room for Tong. Otherwise, when school starts, you can send your mother and me to Beijing to take care of Tong. Jin Yuan turned around and thought about it, and deeply felt that this was a wonderful idea. It's just right that Xingxin is going to college too. We old couple no longer need to take care of you at home. We can also take advantage of our precious granddaughter and go to the capital to experience the scenery of the capital and the talents of Peking University. That's great. I, an old lady, have rarely left the Central Plains. It's worth it to live in Beijing for the rest of my life. Grandma Jin clapped her hands in agreement. The old man had a good idea. Chapter 77, Second Place. Dad, can I say we miss it too? Jin Yuan touched his face. Were the old man and his wife going to abandon them all and run off with their eldest granddaughter? He angrily announced his long-awaited plan. Tomorrow, I'll go to Shangjing and think about opening a shop there. The children were all running away, so what were they, these old men with weak arms and legs, supposed to stay home? Of course, they'd follow the children. Where the children were, there was home. Wu Jingzhong and Jin Yu exchanged glances. So, they were all going to run away, and as parents, they had jobs. How could they possibly run away before retirement? After a while, everyone turned around and took a closer look at Jinzin's grades. Chinese 132, Math 148, English 140, Science 289, total score 709. Xingxin, if you work harder, you'll miss it by just a little bit. What a shame, Comrade Su Mifang was moved. Seeing Tong's perfect scores in all subjects, and then looking at Jinzin's, it seemed like there was some room for improvement. Of course, Comrade Su Mifang wasn't ungrateful. She was very pleased with Jinzin's college entrance exam results. She was just expressing her feelings. With that score, he could choose from any university in China, and his first choice was guaranteed. If she wasn't satisfied, she'd be beaten if she left the house. Jinzin rudely rolled his eyes at his mother. Did he think he was Tong, that little god? Getting a perfect score was easier than eating. What was he thinking? This score was the result of Tong painstakingly paving the way for him, a life and death climb. It also included an element of exceptional performance. He'd already exhausted all his primordial energy, With a bit of luck thrown in for good measure, and over 700, which wasn't common in the entire Zhejiang province. He was truly impressive. The top scorer in Zhejiang province, the top scorer in Xianzhong city, and the top scorer in Xincheng, all Tongtongs. He must have been the second best in Xianzhong city and Xincheng, right? How about a deal? Tong wasn't home, so he could enjoy a day, the most comfortable day of his life at home. He wasn't greedy, just one day was enough. At this point, Jinzhen hadn't realized how incredibly difficult this year's national exam was. With his score, even the runner-up from the Central Plains could only dream of it. A year of hard work, Wu Tong's incredible support, and perhaps even a lucky buff, he'd achieved a miracle neither he nor Xinchang No. 1 High School could have imagined. The news was officially confirmed at 9 o'clock on the 25th. This year was an unprecedented miracle. Both the top and second place finishers came from Xinchang No. 1 High School. This high school, once unknown in a small, remote western county, had been on a tear since last year's math league, practically becoming a national and provincial celebrity. Prestigious key high schools in the Central Plains, and even across the country, were filled with grief. With all their superior hardware, software, history, and student resources, they couldn't possibly compete with such a remarkable student. It was truly incomprehensible. Beyond the top-ranked and second-place finishers, the rest of the students at Xinchang No. 1 High School had performed exceptionally well. This year's results were record-breaking, with an unprecedented undergraduate admissions rate. Upon further inquiry, it turned out that their secret weapon was the comprehensive review notes Wu Tong had given his brother, which he had generously provided to the school. Students who studied diligently benefited greatly from this, and that was the benefit of having a brilliant student. What school wouldn't want such a student? With both the top and second place finishers going to their own family, this year's bountiful harvest was so abundant that even Xinchang No. 1 High School hadn't expected Jinzhen to pull off such a feat. Jinzhen's homeroom teacher was so overwhelmed by this good fortune that his voice cracked when he informed the Jin family. He had actually taught a second-place finisher. While not as impressive as the top-place finishers in Laluo's class, it was enough to go down in school history. The Jin family and the Wu couple were all overjoyed. Jin Yongqing was busy making arrangements to pay respects to their ancestors. They had to go and take a good look. The Jin family's ancestral tombs must be filled with smoke. The Jin family tree would be written starting with his two children. As for the Wu family, forget it, they had nothing to do with it. Wu Tong, the top-place finisher, had already been accepted into Peking University, so there was nothing they could do about it. But her brother, the second-place finisher, had to be taken down. The admissions teams from Peking University and Huqing University burst into the Jin family's gates. Huqing had taken the initiative, offering the same benefits as previous top-scoring Gaokao candidates to Jinzhen, the runner-up. Wu Tong had already secured admission to Peking University, so Jinzhen, the runner-up from the Central Plains, was the de facto top-scoring candidate they were vying for. It was a worthwhile offer. Jinzhen, you should definitely come to Peking University. The benefits are just as good as Huqing. You can choose any major, and you'll be in the same school and class as your sister, Wu Tong, so you can even be in the same class. Peking University slammed the table, slapping Huqing on the line, offering another familial allure. Although they had previously understood Jinzhen's intentions, what if he had changed his mind? Your family is truly amazing. The top and second place finishers, a perfect pair of brother and sister, have both landed in your family. We all want to share in your happiness. Besides Jinzhen himself, their entire family was also a target for their wooing. Their words were undeniably sincere. This family had produced Wu Tong, a shining figure, and now they had another provincial runner-up. Truly a miracle family. Billions of families across the country would envy them. Mr. Zhou from Peking University's admissions office lamented that, had he included Jinzhen in the negotiation, Huqing University would have had no chance. Teachers, my ambition is clear. I've already told the Peking University faculty that I want to apply to a military academy, and it's my first choice. Thank you all for your kindness. He'd actually experienced the top 2 spots in China, a privilege that was fiercely contested between Peking University and Huqing University. Jinzhen felt like he could brag about it for the next 20 years. It took him a while, a days, to come to his senses. Excited as he was, his goal remained unwavering. Studying at Huqing won't prevent you from serving the motherland. Huqing's many majors offer cutting-edge talent that China desperately needs. Truly serving the country and its people, Upon hearing that someone had already rejected Peking University once, the Huaking admissions office was overjoyed. This was their good classmate, and they immediately offered earnest advice. You must understand, Jinzin, we live in an information society. Ordinary military forces have limited potential. High-tech talents, building high-tech defense equipment, are the true strength of a strong nation and a strong military. For example, the renowned Wu Tong, with her current abilities, could easily perform calculations for the Armaments Research Institute. Once she improves further, top scholars like her will be eagerly welcomed and sought after by both the military and aerospace sectors. For example, Comrade Liu, whose rejection of Huaking University had caused them a lifetime of regret, now makes them want to lash out at Peking University. Fortunately, Comrade Liu has been in hiding for years, and Peking University hasn't seen any significant benefits. But this year, they've finally recruited Wu Tong. Alice, how unfair God is. They, Huaking, are devoted to the country and have a clear conscience, but why do they always let the neighbors get the upper hand? When the villain succeeds, why does Liang exist when Yu is around? Chapter 78 Wei Ran. Is that so? Jinzin hesitated, scratching his head in difficulty. But I'm not cut out for scientific research. His only real strength was decent physical fitness. Jinzin threw his hands up. He might seem so successful now, with seemingly good grades. But he knew his own problems. If Tong hadn't broken down and crammed his high school knowledge into his head, compiled various materials and real exam questions, and helped him link predicted questions before the exam for targeted practice, he wouldn't have even dreamed of such a score. The only thing he could truly call his contribution was his relentless effort. Haha. Jinzin, you underestimate yourself. The teachers from the admissions offices of Peking University, Tsinghua University, and Tsinghua University all looked at Jinzin, who seemed cheerful, yet a little embarrassed and shy, with amusement. Do you really think anyone can get a score like that? Even with Wu Tong's help, it still requires you to learn and understand. Was this kid being overly self-deprecating? Or was he just being too self-deprecating? If he can't concentrate on his studies, even a genius wouldn't be enough. Wu Tong's assistance is indispensable, as evidenced by Jinzin and the other high school students from Xinjiang No. 1 who benefited from Wu Tong's lecture notes this year. But how could Jinzin have achieved his current exceptional academic performance without his exceptional intelligence and dedication? Furthermore, with a gifted sister like Wu Tong and a half-brother, how could his IQ be any lower? With decent intelligence, hard work, and a bit of luck, he possesses the necessary skills to qualify for a research position. How many people in the world are as gifted as Wu Tong and Comrade Liu? Scientific progress is inseparable from the work of genius, but scientific development is not solely the result of genius. It also stems from the dedicated efforts of countless ordinary researchers. Now that you mention it, he seems quite capable. Jinzin pondered. He hadn't imagined he had such potential. His initial goal was a regular military academy. However, his exceptional Gaokao scores this time, combined with the analysis of these professional teachers, seemed to warrant consideration for higher-level positions. Being an ordinary soldier certainly had limited potential, but if he had the opportunity to participate in the design and production of a major national weapon, a weapon he'd helped create that would bolster national prestige and deter foreign enemies, the thought of it seemed even more thrilling. Suddenly, a university he'd only dreamed of, feeling unqualified, took root in his heart. The University of Science and Technology of China, the military equivalent of Peking University and Tsinghua University. This time, he truly had a clear goal and aspiration. He wanted to be the screw that forged China's unstoppable sword. Thank you, teachers. I've decided. I'll apply to the University of Science and Technology of China. Thank you for your kindness. Unwavering determination was a long-standing tradition. Thank you, teachers, for your hard work. This child's wish is ours. Thank you all for coming all this way for this little boy. Jin Yuan smiled as he poured water and cut melon for the admissions teachers and representatives. He was warm and attentive, without a trace of flattery, simply grateful for the teachers' hard work and their careful guidance of his child. Teachers from these top schools had never imagined they'd ever be in the same room discussing their children's school choices. Now, having experienced this not only online but also in person, they were truly overwhelmed. Mr. Jin, thank you for your hard work. You're welcome. Please don't be polite. Little Jinzin has devoted himself to the military and serving his country. It's an honor and a source of pride. Student Wu Tong is doing well at school lately. In a few days, Professor Li from our Kyoto University will lead the team to fly to Karsa for a competition. We will definitely take good care of him. The children in this family were all independent and determined in their goals, and they wouldn't regret not getting them. Teacher Joe from the Kyoto University admissions office smiled and changed the subject, chatting with Jin Yuan and the rest of the family, shifting to a topic they were more interested in. They were family. Wu Tong had chosen to join Kyoto University, leaving the neighbors eagerly waiting for him, but they simply couldn't get him. This year's enrollment, hey, Kyoto University was a sure win. A step faster is a step faster, leaving the guy next door with nothing to eat. From now on, as Wu Tong grows up, his future holds endless possibilities. He must maintain a good relationship with the Jin family and Wu Tong's parents. The working admissions teacher felt a sharp pain in his teeth. Those shameless Peking University students, with their fawning, wrinkled faces, were simply unbearable to watch. They were so proud, even if they were proud, they still couldn't recruit Jin Xin. But they had Wu Tong. Teacher Zhou, fanning herself with a palm leaf fan, chatted attentively with Jin Yongqing and the others, her smile even brighter and more meaningful. That day, the Peking University and Huiking official blogs collectively at University of Science and Technology of China official blog, saying, look here, there's a child who's wholeheartedly devoted to you, the university's watching, secretly beaming. What students are these two universities unable to recruit? Oh, it's Wu Tong. Good boy, good boy. What we can't get, those two can't get either. Ha ha ha, a bunch of universities followed suit, collectively tagging him, and everyone lined up. The University of Science and Technology of China's official Weibo account was initially confused when the ad was posted. Once the official understood the situation, they beamed with joy. Wow, what a blessing. A school and a home, a runner-up in the exam, a gift from heaven. What a wonderful child. Immediately, the USTC official Weibo account announced that it welcomes every patriotic student to join. Since the advent of the information age, with the increasing prevalence and power of mobile phones and computers, major universities have registered official Weibo accounts in the past year. This year's enrollment has seen a flurry of activity, a truly exciting event that has captivated countless onlookers. After decades of painstaking study, the goal is to achieve success today. Millions of students nationwide, along with their countless families, are focused on the release of college entrance exam results and the filling of applications. In June and July, the internet was flooded with information about the exam. Various media outlets were clamoring to contact the Wu and Jin families. Raising a pair of top-scoring siblings, a true success story. Many sought to advertise with Jin Xin and Wu Tong. The family didn't want to burden their children, both were destined for scientific research, and Jin Xin, in particular, was destined for military service. Feeling a profound sense of responsibility, Jin Yongqing resumed his duties, giving his family political lessons. They needed to be vigilant from the start to prevent excessive disclosure of their children's information, protect their safety, and avoid being tempted by petty gains. Imperialism, seeking to destroy China, remained steadfast in its evil intentions. Wu Tong learned the news from home that evening and burst into laughter at his brother's glorious journey. He felt a deep sense of joy in his heart. His brother's fate had changed since the release of his college entrance exam results. How wonderful, wasn't it? Hard work makes life more meaningful. Chapter 79, Expedition. The young man wasn't stupid. She didn't yet have the ability to turn a simple situation into a miracle. It was because he had some basic knowledge and was deeply committed to learning. She simply did some work organizing and analyzing the knowledge thoroughly. With his clear aspirations and a bright future ahead of him, Wu Tong was completely reassured and fully prepared for the EMO, which was entering its final days. Maintaining focus, but not panicking, was the guiding principle throughout the final days of training. They were thoroughly prepared, determined to demonstrate an invincible spirit. At June 30th, before the training concluded, Wu Tong received her acceptance letter, personally handed to her by Dean Pan Wenhui of the School of Mathematics at Peking University. Let's just go and do what's necessary, and leave a lasting memory. This was to prevent those with ulterior motives, specifically those from the neighboring school, from shamelessly poaching their students. Looking at the distinctive Peking University-style acceptance letter in her hand, Wu Tong felt that she might be the first candidate to receive one this year. On July 3rd, after 2 days of final preparations, with the president of the Chinese Mathematical Society as a representative and a personal farewell, Wu Tong and his 6 companions, led by 2 professors from Peking University, boarded an international flight to Nur-Sultan, the capital of Kazakhstan. Stana, that would be its future name. The emo national team officially set off. Although the flight was only about 3 hours long, including the waiting time and the time to leave the airport, it only took the better part of a day. But in those 3 hours, the plane pierced the sky, crossing thousands of kilometers to a distant foreign land. Landing in Nur-Sultan, the air of a foreign land was overwhelming. In the distant past, this place was also said to belong to China. But to think of it, everything here was so different from mainland China that it struck the Chinese visitors as unfamiliar. Unfamiliar buildings, unfamiliar faces, unfamiliar language. For the young and inexperienced Chinese, like Wu Tong, countries with a word stand were stereotyped as either war-torn or backward. The Nur-Sultan International Airport where they landed had slightly simpler facilities than those in China, which added a bit of anxiety to the group of Chinese visitors who had just landed. However, fortunately, as they headed from the airport outside the suburbs to the city, the road became increasingly prosperous, with tall buildings and heavy traffic, a manifestation of a modern city, and everyone felt a little relieved. This was not discrimination or anything else, but they were on a mission, and if the environment was too different, leading to acclimatization, various and adaptability, affecting the performance, that would be a pity. The group stayed in an official hotel. For their first meal after landing, the local food made the group somewhat uncomfortable. Most of the Chinese delegation members were a little sluggish, but fortunately, the distance was relatively close, and the time difference was relatively easy to adjust to. After all, it is a neighboring country, and it is closer to here from Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang province, than to Beijing. As for food, Professor Li announced, "You're welcome to be picky these days. Choose what you like. The meat and dairy products here are quite good. Make sure you consume meat, eggs, milk, and vegetables in moderation to ensure they're healthy and nutritious. Avoid anything too unusual. Bear with me for a few days. After the competition, we'll make amends when we return home. Let's overcome these difficulties and demonstrate our army's unwavering spirit of fearlessness and perseverance." As the team leader, he couldn't help but give them some instructions. The temperature difference between morning and evening here is quite significant. Be sure to pay attention when adding or removing clothing. These few days are especially critical. This was Wu Tong's first time abroad, and it was still a bit of a novelty. The hotel's food was decent, and Wu Tong wasn't too picky, so with careful selection, he didn't make any mistakes. Fortunately, this emo is in Kaza, not India. Chu Ziasheng from High City was still terrified. He'd ordered the traditional Kaza smoked horse sausage and nearly vomited. Those who liked it loved it, but those who couldn't stomach it considered it a culinary delicacy. Zhang Bibai, a cute girl from East China Normal University, and Suze Hicken, from Sichuan and Chongqing, were quite happy with the experience, finding it unique and interesting. The others, however, were content to experiment with it briefly. Chu Ziasheng enthusiastically fed them, ensuring that no food was wasted. The 2.5 days of acclimatization were spent in this joyful atmosphere. Out of caution, they stayed inside the hotel, playing games, eating, and discussing key points. Relaxation was a learning experience, and learning was a relaxation experience. The 6 of them, all of whom had been training together for 40 days, enjoyed a pleasant atmosphere thanks to the resourceful Guo Jianjun and Chu Ziasheng. On July 6, the 51st International Mathematical Olympiad officially opened, with 517 students from 98 countries and regions participating. However, aside from the Chinese team, the well-informed team leaders and students from other countries and regions looked glum. The Chinese team, in particular, looked upon the particularly young Wu Tongxi with a chorus of grief, the pain of a lost lamb whose true God no longer favored them. China was already strong, but this year they'd gone too far. For a superpower to unleash such a powerful force to harm them, wouldn't that be a shame? How could they possibly compete with someone who solved Zhou's conjecture, published a paper in NC Core Journal, and appeared in the Annals of Mathematics? Wouldn't it be fun to have someone who solved Zhou's conjecture, published a paper in NC Core Journal, and even appeared in the Annals of Mathematics, someone worthy of international recognition, come and stun high school students? How could they possibly win? Fortunately, there was only one such exceptional individual. If all of China were equipped like this, what would the competition be? They could just go home and forfeit the competition. But no matter how heartbroken they were, There was nothing they could do. It's not that no one protested to the organizing committee, but they checked all the files and confirmed that Wu was indeed a high school student, not a college student pretending to be one. In fact, she was considered young among the participating students. Orientals often appear young in Western eyes, but seeing Wu Tong in person, many of their previously angry expressions softened, feeling a bit guilty about bullying a child. After the opening ceremony, Li Yishan shared the little information he had gathered with the team members. I heard that the difficulty of this year's IMO has increased. Li Yishan glanced at Wu Tong with amusement. No doubt, it's because of you. IMO loves to ask number theory questions, and you solve the difficult number theory problem. Zhou's conjecture. So, Li Yishan spread his hands. Fortunately, they had anticipated it and made preparations in advance, so they would not be caught off guard this year. Wu Tong is the trump card. Wu Tong spread her hands. This was something she could not have expected. IMO, 2 tests in 2 days, 3 questions each, 4.5 hours each. Each question is 7 points, a total of 42 points. On the 7th and 8th, the competition officially began. At 9 o'clock, all the candidates participating in this competition were in place, and the test papers were distributed. The official language of IMO is English, French, German, and Russian. The team leaders were isolated in advance and translated the test papers into their native languages. Chapter 80 IMO. In addition to the Chinese translated exam papers, the Chinese delegation also requested an original English version. The IMO team members had already strengthened their English translation skills. For example, Guo Jianjun and Chu Ziasheng had learned English since elementary school, so they had no problem translating the papers. This was part of the Chinese national team's approach to ensuring rigor and accuracy. Upon receiving the exam papers, Wu Tong immediately immersed herself in her usual focus. The first question, a function problem in numbers and algebra, was moderately difficult. After reviewing the question, Wu Tong's thoughts began to flow, and she began to write down her reasoning on a piece of scratch paper. Let y equals 0, and we get f0 equals. Eliminate the negation, substitute the necessary factors, and prove the interval values of all the solutions. Finally, substituting again, she obtained the desired conditions. After completing the first question, Wu Tong copied it onto the paper and moved on to the second question, a geometric proof. She raised an eyebrow slightly. This geometry problem seemed quite difficult. Among the IMO questions she had tackled, it ranked somewhere in the middle. It seems the IMO exam designers have really upped the ante this year. Of course, this wasn't a problem for Wu Tong. 20 minutes later, she'd cracked the problem once again, solving it with her pen. The third question, another function problem, was a complete read. After reading through it, Wu Tong confirmed that this year's IMO was full of traps. Today's pitfall had appeared, and if she wasn't careful, she'd probably be completely caught in it. Wu Tong fluently wrote down her solution, starting with a proof of injection, extracting the necessary criteria from the known conditions. Using proof by contradiction, she compared 2 equations to deduce a contradiction, then continued her deduction, ultimately determining the conditions that satisfied the requirement and finally finding all the solutions, where c is a non-negative integer. After finishing the 3 questions, Wu Tong checked the time. Still her usual pace, under an hour. As usual, they raised their hands to submit their papers early. The entire competition floor, with the exception of the Chinese team, was in an uproar. Many of them hadn't even figured out how to tackle the first problem yet, and someone from the Chinese team had already submitted their papers. Hadn't the competition just begun? Many contestants felt their minds were about to collapse. In an hour, others finished problems that they might not even finish in 4.5 hours. How could they possibly compete? What about the promise of friendship first, competition second? Unsurprisingly, the other 5 members of the Chinese team continued to write furiously. This was a standard practice for a genius student, and they had gone from shock to numbness. They were too used to it. The invigilator collecting the papers shrugged unsurprisingly. They had indeed carefully selected the questions, but it was clear that no matter how much they selected, there was still a limit, and it couldn't trap this recently renowned young mathematician. Wu Tong quietly gave the other members of the Chinese team a cheering gesture and left the exam room with the chocolate provided by the organizing committee on her desk. Perhaps considering the length of the exam, each seat had some chocolate and other energy-boosting snacks on the table. Wu Tong simply took away everything that wasn't going to be wasted, and she would eat it while waiting outside. How was it? How difficult was the exam? Professor Chang, the deputy leader of the Chinese team, asked with a smile, unsurprised upon seeing Wu Tong emerge from the exam room. His difficulty wasn't specifically addressed to Wu Tong, but rather the difficulty level for the average competitor. The organizing committee put a lot of thought into this. It wasn't easy. The third question was quite tricky. Wu Tong raised her eyebrows and handed Professor Chang 2 chocolates, a treat for everyone. Taking a pen and paper from Professor Chang, she wrote out the 3 questions for today. The questions weren't too long, so they wouldn't take her long. Professor Chang immediately glanced at the third question, which Wu Tong had described as tricky. After reading it and pondering it carefully, he couldn't help but slap his forehead. It was a real bummer. Who knows, one of the participating teams might fall for it and use the wrong theorem. He hoped the students on the national team wouldn't fall for it. He wasn't expecting them to get full marks on this question, but just that they shouldn't make any awful mistakes. Everyone has a pretty good grasp of the common methods for considering functional equations using polynomial properties, Wu Tong said, unfazed. This knowledge point had been emphasized during the training camp, and she had even taught a class on it. Pure functor technique and understanding, pure functor beauty. Professor Chang discussed the solution with Wu Tong and, after listening to Wu Tong's process, couldn't help but applaud. With the right method, this problem isn't too difficult, Wu Tong casually commented. The difficulty of this problem wasn't as extreme as those in history, but it just required a precise approach. Let's wait for them to come out. Professor Chang smiled and spread his hands. It wasn't too difficult, basically only relative to Wu Tong. Sure enough, when the time came for the actual paper submission, candidates filed out of the exam room. Candidates of different skin colors, speaking different languages, all expressing the same question. What the hell is this question? It doesn't look like something a human could solve. Are they kidding us? I think I might not get any points on question 3. Or, if I'm more confident and eliminate the word maybe, I won't get any points. Of course, there were some who were brimming with confidence, like the North Koreans. They seemed to be doing quite well, each one looking rather cocky. The Chinese team wasn't entirely scowling, but their expressions weren't particularly good either. However, after taking a closer look, Professor Chang felt the situation wasn't entirely bleak, so he offered some comfort and encouragement. All right, everyone, cheer up, get your spirits together, forget about anything tonight, get some rest, and focus on tomorrow. Every single question tomorrow is crucial, and we'll have to give it our all. Essentially, this EMO was the last chance for these students to participate. After returning home, none of these national team members would return to high school. Thanks to the solid mental foundation built during these days of intensive training, the Chinese team was in good shape. After a quick dinner, they retired early and, the next day, entered the exam hall, refreshed and ready for the final day of the competition. Once they finished today's exams and the EMO awards ceremony, they would enjoy nearly 2 months of vacation, free to enjoy themselves. Then, in September, they would begin their university life. Keep going. I'll be waiting for your triumphant return and will be picking up Professor Lee soon. Starting tomorrow, we'll have 4 days of free time to explore. It'll be worth the trip to Nur Sultan. Professor Chang patted everyone on the shoulder before entering the exam hall, encouraging them. The exam began again, with a 4th question, again from the geometry section. This year's simple number theory questions were a bit tricky. The standard geometry proofs were easy to come by. The atmosphere seemed quite positive at the start of the day. Chapter 81 Gift. The second question was a game, but this one was much more challenging than a typical one. It required proving that the last box contained 2010 cap 210 gold coins. Wu Tong enthusiastically wrote down her solution, using a stem condition to set the operation conditions, and using a directional condition to find the number of operations. Finally, after a finite number of attempts, she determined that none of the other boxes contained gold coins, while the 6th box contained 2010 cap 210 gold coins. The third question was another difficult watershed question, a complex sequence problem. It incorporated the usual EMO question setting strategies, with geometry, algebra, and number theory all playing out. Wu Tong's thinking stretched, writing the complex argument for the final question in one breath without pausing, and finally, summarizing it, she concluded that the conclusion held true. She checked her pen, raised her hand, and handed in her paper. Within the hour, Wu Tong left the exam room. The bright natural light outside kept the temperature roughly the same as before she entered. The emo competition had thus far been a complete success. The secondary preparations, made with the intention of starting university early, had also been successfully completed. When Wu Tong came out, as they entered the final examination room, Professor Cheng and Professor Li, finally released from confinement, were relaxing by the window, basking in the warm sunshine and sipping fragrant coffee. Both had similar experiences studying abroad, and were considered part of the new generation of youth. Their taste for coffee was far superior to that of Wu Tong, a country bumpkin who had just ventured abroad. Congratulations, Wu Tong, you've broken the record for the fastest emo exam. Are you confident you'll get full marks? Professor Li smiled and saluted Wu Tong from afar. Come, sit over here. I ordered a small dessert and pistachio yogurt ice cream for you, and it's just been delivered. Wu Tong's timing remained impeccable. He knew it wouldn't take more than an hour. With Professor Li present to translate the questions, Wu Tong didn't have to write them out by hand today. The score, that's up to the committee? Wu Tong smiled, somewhat relaxedly. She could still guarantee the accuracy of her results, but the specific score would depend on whether the committee would nitpick. Ha ha ha. Don't worry about that. As long as the process is flawless and the results are correct, they can mess around. We Chinese are not afraid of anyone. The teachers are not pushovers. Li Yixing's domineering attitude was full of vigor. They, the team leaders, all had the authority to grade the papers, and no one could distort their students' grades for no reason. Wu Tong's achievements were there, and the organizing committee trusted them, so they wouldn't dare to do anything too shady. Over dessert, they exchanged ideas. From the initial discussion about the final 3 emo questions to further explorations in geometry, number theory, and algebra, Wu Tong effortlessly connected the dots. Her rigorous logic, powerful and ingenious thinking, and insightful analysis and solutions to the problems earned the 2 professors praise for her extensive knowledge. You know, they're both considered the backbone of Peking University, having dedicated over 20 years to the study of mathematics. While they wouldn't claim to be exceptional in mathematics, they believe their knowledge is solid, worthy of their titles and their students. But looking at the underage child Wu Tong, who is engaging with them so harmoniously, one couldn't help but feel a sense of the Yangtze River, where the waves behind push the waves ahead, only for the waves ahead to die on the beach. When k equals 1, for all natural numbers k, there are infinitely many prime number pairs, p plus 2k. Staring at the ice cream before her, dotted with pistachio crumbs and possessing a strikingly different aesthetic, Wu Tong suddenly fell into deep thought. The conditions for the twin prime conjecture popped into her mind, and the ice cream before her was no longer just ordinary ice cream, but a series of beautiful formulas, all written in a unique mathematical language. The right lambda function? Vian-Gradov's 3' theorem? The infinite extension of topology. Suddenly, Wu Tong had a flash of enlightenment. Instinctively pulling out a pen and paper from her backpack, she began to deduce on her scratch paper. Lost in her own world, a string of mathematical formulas coalesced beneath her pen, her mind swirling endlessly, stirring up an endless mathematical storm. Page 1, page 2, Pn, let n equals page 1 x page 2 x, xpn. If n plus 1 is prime, then n plus 1 must be greater than page 1, page 2, Pn, 5 7 11 13, P3 5 7 11 11 17, P2, P. A gentle breeze blew in through the window, but at this moment, Li Yixing and Professor Cheng no longer had the leisurely and relaxed mood they had just had. This is, Professor Cheng recalled what he had heard before, looking at Li Yixing in disbelief. Li Yixing shrugged and spread his hands. This situation was very familiar to him. As you might imagine, we witnessed a child's inspiration burst forth once again. Were we discussing something special just now? Were we in the same dimension? How come we're still ourselves, yet not a single inspiration has struck us, while the child across from us, riding with unrestrained swiftness, has launched an attack on the twin prime conjecture right before our eyes? The small round table where we rested wasn't large, and even without moving, they could still see what Wu Tong had begun to write. A familiar formula appeared, and both of them simultaneously recalled the twin prime conjecture that Wu Tong had been researching. It's fair to say that our minds are truly different from those of geniuses. For a genius, the traces of wind, the contours of rolling clouds, Even the patterns on ice cream, they all see it as an extension of mathematics. The two teachers dared not utter a single sound, performing a silent pantomime. Li Yisheng smiled wryly, unable to conceal the excitement in his eyes. He was anxious about his own brain power, but also excited. This child belonged to China, to be a student of their Peking University. One could even shamelessly say that she was a student he had taught. Li Yisheng and Professor Cheng perked up, keeping an eye on the surroundings, preventing anything that might destroy Wu Tong's inspiration, interrupting this inspiration that could give birth to another miracle, and carefully helping Wu Tong to put away and preserve the draft papers she had placed on the table. These will all be treasures of cultural relics in the future. Wu Tong continued her deduction until the end of the exam, then she raised her head to stretch her shoulders and neck, and met two pairs of eyes that were looking at her eagerly and passionately. "Teacher Li, Professor Cheng, what are you doing?" She was almost scared. "Wu Tong, have you proved it?" Li Yisheng and Professor Cheng lowered their voices and asked quietly and obscurely. "This is not in China, and no matter how cautious you are, it is not excessive." Wu Tong shook her head. "We haven't finished yet. How could it be that simple?" "Oh, that's not bad." Li Yisheng and Professor Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. The progress was good, and every new step was a reward. They breathed a sigh of relief and were about to reassure Wu Tong, telling her not to worry, as her breakthroughs and progress were already rapid. Then Wu Tong paused and continued, "That's good. We've got the general direction. I should be able to send myself a certificate before my birthday. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels." Chapter 82 completed. Wu Tong was quite satisfied and confident about this. The absolute direction she had chosen made her certain that her inspiration was on the right track. Now that she had the basic framework for the proof, all that was left was to follow the instructions step by step, come up with a proof, and compile it into paper. She could definitely finish it within 2 weeks. With her birthday still 20 days away, she still had plenty of time. Aha! Li and Cheng's breath caught in their throats, nearly choking them. What? They hadn't heard correctly. A general direction for the proof had already been established? Proof before her birthday? When was Wu Tong's birthday? July 29th. Both of them had come across Wu Tong's information and had seen her ID card when they booked her tickets. They couldn't be more certain of this information. Proving the twin prime conjecture in 20 days? Were they crazy, or was this world just too crazy? The two of them paused for a breath, then finally drew it back. Even after the other team members emerged, they couldn't quite control their breath, and neither of them had time to ask about their performance. Dizzily, they sent everyone off to dinner and then back to their hotel rooms. "Put away all these manuscripts. The teachers are waiting for your good news," Li Yisheng, finally calming down, explained carefully. Right now, the most important thing was for Wu Tong to complete the proof. If Wu Tong truly proved the twin prime conjecture, it would surely be a historic sensation in Chinese mathematics, and indeed in the international mathematical community. Compared to this, aside from the final EMO awards ceremony, based on the principle that since they've come all the way here, they've already completed all 99 steps, and the last one shouldn't be wasted, everything else could make way for Wu Tong's proof. "It's okay, Teacher Li, relax. It's not something that can't be interrupted. Just proceed as planned," Wu Tong chuckled. It wasn't as urgent as the last time he'd had a sudden burst of inspiration and had worked through Zhou's proof in one go. She had been fascinated by the twin prime conjecture since the Chinese New Year, and now, 6 months later, she finally had a flash of inspiration, and the process flowed smoothly. She had determined the direction of the final proof. All she had to do was follow the steps and establish the proof. The sooner the better. This was the twin prime conjecture, a major international problem that had plagued the mathematical community for 110 years since its proposal in 1900. In other words, the problem originated 2,000 years ago, when Euclid proved that there are an infinite number of prime numbers. The sooner the proof was published, and the Chinese were credited with proving it, the sooner it was published. If someone else published it before Wu Tong did, she would be in big trouble. Wu Tong had to publish the proof as soon as possible. If she wanted to travel to Kazakhstan, she could charter a plane and have someone accompany her. "Okay, Professor Lee, I understand, she would give it her all, right? She would. She wanted to make the world experience the speed of China, and she would give it a try. I'll upload the paper to Arxiv as soon as possible. It was the fastest way to get the word out. If you need anything, just tell the teacher. The teacher will be here these days. Li Yishan promised to prove that he didn't have the ability. But the logistics would be guaranteed. Tomorrow, Professor Cheng would take the other children out to play, which would also confuse the eyes of the outsiders who were watching the Chinese team and prevent them from causing trouble. Not to mention the tension, Li Yishan now looked at everyone else as a mischievous devil. After a simple meal, Wu Tong sat at the desk in the room, took a deep breath, and started writing. Let her make a breakthrough and complete the remaining proof as quickly as possible. This time, her thinking was no longer stuck in the direction, and the inspiration she gained built a bridge to the final proof. Strings of mathematical symbols were no longer scattered and fragmented. As if an inexplicable force was working, they formed lines of formulas and condensed at the tip of Wu Tong's pen. Deduction, filling in, calculation. Wu Tong once again lost himself in a state of ecstasy. Endless mathematical symbols roared like a storm in his mind. The shimmering glow of the Enlightenment stone steel was a steady anchor, firmly shielding him from all storms. Deep within, lay the secret garden where Wu Tong's intellectual power was concentrated. The night faded, unnoticed, and dawn's light filtered through the window lattice. For every natural number k, there are infinitely many prime pairs, p plus 2k, such that k equals 1. The proof holds. Facing the dawn light once again, Wu Tong breathed a sigh of relief. He had finally completed the proof. Rubbing her brows, she realized 2 sunrises and sunsets had already passed. She'd gotten some sleep the night after the exams, but last night, when things got really critical, she'd pulled an all-nighter doing the final deductions. Luckily, she was full of energy, otherwise, she'd have struggled to hold on. Unscrewing a bottle of water to moisten her parched throat, Wu Tong began her daily meditation exercises in the morning light. After a few minutes of practice, the radiant purple glow of the morning glow revitalized her lost energy, leaving her feeling radiant and full of life. After washing up, Wu Tong prepared to go out and find food. Just as Teacher Li had said, the milk and meat in Kaza were both excellent. Their hotel was well equipped, and the food offered wasn't limited to Kaza cuisine, it was mostly Western style. But after a night of starvation and in a foreign land, Wu Tong wasn't too picky, just filling her stomach was enough. Teacher Li had been bringing food to her room these past few days, and today, she'd made some solid progress, so she went out for some fresh air before finalizing her paper and sending it off. Wu Tong's hand had just touched the doorknob, and as she turned it, she felt it being pushed open from the outside. She made room for it to swing open smoothly. Teacher Li? Professor Cheng, good morning, Wu Tong greeted with a smile. Hey, Wu Tong, you? Surprise filled Li Yishan's heart. Wu Tong had been in that unprecedented state since last night. He didn't dare disturb her, but with anticipation, he had come early to check on her. Yes, as you expected, Teacher Li, Professor Cheng, I've completed the proof. Wu Tong spread her hands lightly, feeling elated at having solved another difficult problem. Done. Surprise surged through Li and Cheng's chests, and they both nearly cried out, only to suppress it in time. The joy, no matter how hard they tried, seethed and flowed through their hearts. Wu Tong nodded in confirmation. Finished. Wu Tong took a few steps into the room and handed the organized draft paper to the 2 teachers who followed him in. Could you 2 teachers verify it for me? I was about to eat something and started organizing my paper. Right now, it's just the reasoning process, so it's a bit messy. Teachers, please bear with me. Wu Tong, eat something first. Your teacher Cheng and I will take a look. Li Yishan put the breakfast he had picked up earlier on the corner of the table, wiped his hands with a tissue from Wu Tong's corner, and then took the pile of draft paper from Wu Tong's hand, which seemed to them like 1,000 pounds. My God, their God, it's only been 2 days, right? When did the proof of twin primes become so simple that it took only 2 days? Chapter 83 First. Li Yishan and Professor Cheng brought Wu Tong a rather rich breakfast, warm, rich milk, sesame-covered toast with chunks of meat, a simple vegetable and fruit yogurt salad, a calorie-packed dessert, and surprisingly, 2 plump, round meat buns. Seeing the familiar Chinese food, Wu Tong couldn't help but smile. Having never been abroad, she hadn't realized how much she missed the most commonplace buns. Wu Tong shifted her position, finding a high stool to serve as a small dining table, and began her breakfast. She had a healthy appetite, and after a night of exertion, even though her energy wasn't up to par from her morning exercises, her hunger, now quenched by the aroma of food, was truly ravenous. She felt like she could devour a cow. Of course, swallowing a cow was a bit of an exaggeration, but it was still enough to completely consume the breakfast the two teachers had brought, which was clearly a generous portion. When Wu Tong finished breakfast and cleaned up, the two teachers were still hunched over their desks, working furiously on their calculations, their brows furrowed in deep frowns, a testament to their immersion and pressure. Wu Tong didn't interrupt. He took her laptop, opened it, and sat on a high stool to begin editing the paper. With the experience from her previous paper editing experience, Wu Tong began this time with greater proficiency. Title, Abstract, Keywords, Introduction. After completing each step one by one, Wu Tong began editing the main text. Li Yixing and Professor Cheng were so busy verifying their calculations that it was already 10 o'clock, the agreed meeting time for the trip. Guo Jianshan and the others, not waiting for the group leader, suspected something was up and came looking for them. They were all quite clever. Wu Tong hadn't been seen for the past 2 days, and Li Yixing had also disappeared, so it was obvious something was amiss. They even wondered if the god had performed another miracle. The two professors' disappearance today wasn't surprising to them. Time's up. Li Yixing and Professor Cheng glanced at the students outside the room, somewhat reluctant to put down their draft paper. They had spent 2 or 3 hours verifying only the initial part. Their verification was already so strenuous, and Wu Tong, who had produced this proof, seemed to have done it even more effortlessly than they had. The gap, that's the gap. It's not that Wu Tong is behind them, but that Wu Tong has surpassed them. This rate of growth shocked and proud them. It's their responsibility to look after these children, they can't just let them wander around in this unfamiliar place on their own. Wu Tong was just saying that she could let the two professors take the manuscripts. She didn't really need them. The deduction process, let alone her memory, was lingering. Even if she couldn't remember it clearly, she could just redo it. It was no big deal. Wu Tong, keep these manuscripts. We're leaving. Li and Cheng exchanged glances and reached a unanimous decision. These manuscripts must not be taken outside until Wu Tong's paper is published. They could guarantee their own integrity, but they couldn't guarantee others. This hotel was home to nearly 100 national and regional teams, and their minds were unpredictable. The national team, famous for plagiarism, wasn't far from their region. Sure enough, my god had produced another world-shaking achievement. Guo Jianshan and the others were once again filled with shock. How long had it been since his last achievement? Judging by the attitudes of the two leading professors, it was clearly no less impressive than Zhou's conjecture from last time. Could it be that Wu Xin had proven another world-class conjecture? How about we stay home today, Chu Ziasheng suggested, scratching his head. There weren't many places to visit here. They'd been out for 2 days before and had seen a lot. Right, we're not going out today. Let's just rest at the hotel, Zhang Bibai nodded vigorously. They had to do their job as a guardian, protecting Wu Xin, protecting the pride of China. It's okay, let's go on as usual. Barring any unexpected events, we'll have the paper finished before we take off. Wu Tong smiled, closing her briefcase and carrying it. I'll go with you, and get some fresh air. She could also continue editing her paper on the way, catching up on the progress in the evening. She didn't want to spoil the fun of a group activity. Okay, it's settled. Li Yixing made the final decision. He and Old Cheng couldn't verify the results for a while, so they decided to wait for Wu Tong's official paper. Wu Tong's deductions were so wild and unconventional that they didn't have enough time to study them. Verifying their calculations was incredibly arduous. The child had been working tirelessly for 2 days, it was time for a break. No matter how important the proof, it wasn't as important as this child. With a child, there would be future proofs, but harming the child would be a sin they would regret for the rest of their lives. Besides, Wu Tong had already completed the entire proof, so there was no need to rush for a day or two. Over 100 years had passed, and it wasn't likely someone would beat Wu Tong to proof and publish a paper in a day or two. If it were that simple, the twin prime conjecture would have been proven long ago, right? On July 14th, after 4 long days of grading, the results of OEMO participants were officially released. After confirmation from the national team leaders, the results were announced. The closing ceremony and awards ceremony would be held tomorrow. Li Yixin happily came over to share his results with the 6 members of the national team. First of all, congratulations to everyone. Wu Tong scored 42 points, once again the first place with full marks, and the only full score in this session. Guo Jianshan scored 38 points, Chu Ziaisheng scored 37 points, Bibai also performed well with 34 points, Naipeng and Su Hicken, you two are competing with 31, both with 31 points. Our Chinese team's total score is 213, ranking first in the world. You all won gold medals, and our entire Chinese team won gold medals, and we are still number 1 in the world. The gold medal cutoff this time is 27 points. You all performed very well, and used your strength to bring glory to the country. The country is proud of you. What is even more exciting and will become a legend is that during this period, Wu Tong also proved the twin prime conjecture. Wu Tong's paper is nearing completion, and the editing and translation process have taken them almost 2 days to verify. Given his and Lao Cheng's skill, they haven't found any errors so far. The logic is flawless, the structure rigorous, and the deductions are characteristic of Wu Tong's unique aesthetic. His imaginative constructions have left them in awe. This stroke of genius is truly breathtaking. Once Wu Tong's paper is published, he imagines it will be a source of amazement for the entire mathematical community, and indeed the world. Meanwhile, all the contestants received news they found difficult to interpret, and certainly devastating for those involved. The North Korean team was disqualified for collectively using the incorrect lemma in the third problem, marking the second such disqualification in their history. I'll add another chapter today, and I'll continue to update as much as possible. Please support me, and I'll keep working hard. Chapter 84 Special Award. Many teams were incredibly relieved. Although they didn't get the problem right, they didn't misuse the lemma, which would have disqualified their entire team's score. That alone was a huge win, so there was no need to bother trying to compete with the Chinese team. With Wu Tong on the Chinese team this year, no one else could compare. Some teams were completely demoralized and suffered a complete Waterloo. Anyone living nearby could hear the team leaders roar. On July 14th, the closing ceremony and awards ceremony arrived as planned, an exciting moment for all participants. With everyone present and the time running out, the closing ceremony officially began. The judges took the stage to give their speeches, and the most exciting yet daunting part of the awards ceremony began. Awards were presented from back to front, with each name announced and the winners receiving honorary awards, bronze medals, and silver medals. Finally, the highly anticipated gold medal ceremony arrived. The Chinese team collectively took the stage to receive the gold medal, their ultimate honor. The host country arranged for guests to present the medals and certificates to the winners. The first person to receive the award was, of course, Wu Tong, who had the highest score in the world. Congratulations, Wu Tong. I know you and hope you'll ascend to greater heights. This is just the beginning of your journey to accept the award. The presenter called out Wu Tong's name in broken Chinese, offering his blessing. We look forward to seeing you as a visiting scholar at our university in the future. After the gold medals were presented and a group photo was taken, the 6 Chinese team members were about to leave when the judging panel asked them to stay. The host, beaming, announced, "Congratulations once again to the Chinese team for winning first place and the championship at the 51st International Mathematical Olympiad, with a total score of 213. Their 2 team leaders are invited to join them on stage to share the honor." Although they had known the news in advance, the excitement of the actual award announcement was completely different from the feeling of calculating the scores. Yet, the 6 members of the Chinese team beamed with excitement, and they all waved to Li Yixin and Professor Cheng. Li Yixin and Professor Cheng excitedly took the stage, one carrying the Chinese team's flag, the other holding a folded, vibrant red flag. A team worked together to unfurl the flag in front of them, aligning it, capturing this glorious moment. The vibrant flag fluttered, dazzling, echoing with the brilliant young men of the Chinese team, as if expressing pride in them. Cameras flashed and clicked incessantly, reflecting the influx of international media. Facing the envious and sometimes jealous gazes of every team present, they smiled even brighter towards the media from their home country, their hearts awash with pride. They had done it, letting the vibrant flag fly high on the international stage. They had done it, securing the Chinese team's first place in championship glory once again, with all 6 members winning gold medals. They had lived up to the nation's trust, lived up to everyone's expectations, and brought glory to their country. Nothing could have made them stand taller, more proud, than at that moment. After the Chinese team took the championship, the runner-up was Russia, and the third place was Team M. All the awards were presented one by one. The Chinese team beamed with joy, their smiles overflowing, their excitement palpable throughout the entire venue. This, of course, wasn't surprising to the other teams. If it were them, they'd be just as happy. The Chinese team had snatched the world's top spot for 3 consecutive years. From now on, the EMO should just be called the Chinese competition. The Chinese team had no shame, even the conjecture prover had attacked their high school students. Of course, no matter how furious the indignant ones were, it couldn't stop the Chinese team from being genuinely happy today. The award ceremony should have been drawing to a close by then, but just as many were preparing to leave, the organizing committee chairman took the stage again, smiling and announcing, "At every EMO, we always select the most perfect, innovative, and impeccable answers from among the many. This year, we are amazed by her brilliant solution. She has made mathematics youthful and captivating. Therefore, we will honor her with the glory she deserves and present her with the EMO Special Award. Please, Wu Tong, the Oriental Pearl of China, come up to the stage again to receive the award, EMO Special Award. Is there a special prize this year? It's a rare sight. Before the 1990s, special prizes weren't uncommon, but with the increasing clarity of mathematics and the increasingly refined scope of competitions, it's no longer easy to obtain. Even a once-in-a-decade appearance is rare, but this year, China has once again achieved this unique honor. I'm afraid every team present would deny being jealous. Everyone looked at each other, knowing full well. Of course, many were also delighted by this honor. Isn't that the essence of the EMO? Those who truly love mathematics are always excited about its progress and new discoveries. Wu Tong, come on stage. EMO Special Prize. Ha ha ha. I knew you could do it. Li Yixing and the others smiled and hugged Wu Tong, inviting her to the stage to accept the award. Perhaps this special honor belonged to her alone. With Wu Tong receiving the special prize, the EMO award ceremony truly drew to a close. After another thank you speech, the EMO officially concluded. The joyous news of the Chinese delegation's 6 gold medals at the EMO spread quickly back to China, with major media outlets reposting the news. Great news, great news. All members won gold medals at the 51st EMO, a perfect victory for the Chinese team. 3 consecutive championships at the International Mathematical Olympiad, the Chinese team won 6 gold medals. Shocking. Oriental Pearl once again achieved perfect scores and topped the world rankings. The EMO organizing committee awarded her a special award. The news instantly ignited the internet, with joy surging from top to bottom, many celebrating with pride like it was Chinese New Year. Other high schools have won international gold medals, but my high school admires and cheers for the greats, proving a world-conquering problem, achieving perfect scores on the college entrance exam, and achieving perfect scores at the EMO. My mom asked me why I was kneeling, and my knees were weak for the greats. Heroes emerge from the youth, young Chinese people, shocking the world. That evening, the EMO organizing committee and the host country hosted a final farewell dinner. The buffet spread featured a variety of delicious dishes. Considering the audience was mostly students, and given that many countries have age restrictions for alcohol consumption, the dinner primarily consisted of fruit juices. The students from various national teams, seeing many organizing committee members seeking out Wu Tong for conversation, were reminded once again that Wu Tong was different. While they were still naive students, Wu Tong was already a sought-after figure, internationally acclaimed, and a world-renowned scholar. Wu Tong politely responded to the various enthusiastic visitors, finding time to eat a satisfying meal. For all the boisterous interactions, he was more comfortable with quiet reflection. Chapter 85 Praise. After the dinner ended, Wu Tong immediately returned to her room to put the finishing touches on her paper proving the twin prime conjecture. She had completed the paper, leaving only the final section to be translated. At midnight, Wu Tong sent the paper to the Annals of Mathematics submission email address. Simultaneously, she opened the RZIP preprint server and uploaded both the Chinese and English versions of the paper, allowing the proof to see the light of day for the first time. The next day, the national teams departed one after another. Like the Chinese team, they checked out early and rushed to the airport by 4 or 5 in the morning, having booked an early flight. As they rushed to the airport, the paper Wu Tong had sent the previous night began to spread, generating astonishment and amazement from around the world. Terence Tao, an avid internet surfer, was far more intensively online than the average senior scholar. He had also been following the topic of twin primes and had made a special note of it. So, when a new paper was uploaded to that forum, he finished his work and, curiously, clicked on it. Researchers must always maintain a keen sense of curiosity. He couldn't help but raise an eyebrow as soon as he saw the title summary. Proof of the twin prime conjecture? He thought it was another joke uploaded by some amateur scientist. Just when he was about to give up in disappointment, he noticed that the paper was in both Chinese and English. Was the author Chinese or from China? He glanced at the author curiously, and the author's name caught his eye. Tong Wu? Wu Tong, the amazing little genius of China? The prover of Zhou's conjecture? If it was her, then it would be interesting. He began to read with great interest. As the paper progressed, the nonchalance on his face turned into an increasingly serious expression. He held a draft paper and pen in his hands, calculating from time to time, and even thinking from time to time. Interesting, really interesting. It turned out that this step could be jumped like this. This idea is really good. Professor, it's tea time. What would you like to drink? His student knocked gently on the door to remind the excited and immersed Terence Tao. Alan, give me a cup of coffee. I need some caffeine to wake me up and witness another miracle, Tao continued calculating without looking up. He had already figured out the children's bridge and was now entering the crucial calculation process. Afternoon time always makes one sleepy, but Tao felt completely refreshed and alert. A little coffee would only help. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Tao finally finished his repetitive calculations, delighted to confirm that the twin prime conjecture, a puzzle that had baffled the world for over a century, had indeed been proven by this brilliant genius from the East. He logged into the app and posted on Facebook once again. I'm about to witness another miracle. The youth of mathematics is joyful, and prime numbers are fascinating. We've taken another step forward in the field of prime numbers. We've partially answered Hilbert's eighth question, and the twin prime conjecture has a clear theorem. Even more exciting, I seem to be seeing the embryonic form of a new program. Thank you, Wu Tong, for bringing innovative progress to the mathematical community. He casually sent the good news to Andrew Wiles, who had reviewed the paper the previous time. Hurry up and check arXiv. The twin prime conjecture has been proved. Princeton, Annals of Mathematics editorial office. Due to the time difference, review editor Lawrence was working normal hours. His job was to sort through the numerous submissions each day to identify the truly valuable papers. When he saw the proof of the twin prime conjecture, his first reaction was, another lunatic, the twin prime conjecture, the Goldbach conjecture. There are always those clueless, overconfident amateur scientists who vainly attempt to prove these gems of number theory, hoping for a splash of fame. In reality, they're riddled with errors, severely irritating their brains and eyes, and wasting precious time. He was about to complain when he suddenly saw the author's note. The prover of the Zhou conjecture? Tong Wu? That 16-year-old genius, the Oriental Pearl? She'd launched another attack on the twin prime conjecture? The proof of the Zhou conjecture had just happened in early April, published in the May issue of their mathematical annals. It had only been 100 days, so of course he remembered it vividly. Oh my God. These geniuses truly refuse to be left out. However, regardless of whether this young prodigy actually proved the twin prime conjecture, the aura of Zhou's conjecture prover carried with him meant he had to treat it with respect. It was 6 o'clock Beijing time, a time for people of Professors Pan Wenhui and Zhou Wenwu's age to get up early. After washing up, Pan Wenhui checked his phone and was startled by a midnight message that made him think he was still asleep. Dean, Wu Tong has successfully proved the twin prime conjecture. The paper has been submitted to the Annals of Mathematics and uploaded to arXiv. This was the first message Li Yishan sent upon receiving the official upload of Wu Tong's paper. Pan Wenhui instantly became fully alert. Had their little classmate Wu Tong truly proved the twin prime conjecture? Was he going to pack up and move? Meanwhile, Professor Zhou Wenping received a congratulatory message from across the Atlantic. Zhou, congratulations, our little friend, you've solved the twin prime conjecture again. Mathematics is truly going crazy at a young age, Andrew Wiles exclaimed. If Wu Tong's proof of the Zhou conjecture had impressed him last time, his youthful age had truly impressed him. This time, Wu Tong's proof of the twin prime conjecture truly captivated him. This child was approaching the pinnacle of international scholarship. At such a young age, and with such a rapid pace, he truly wanted to exclaim, A living cause. She's still so young, and her future is filled with boundless possibilities. I'm even looking forward to her continued mathematical achievements. Will she be able to definitively define the Goldbach and Riemann hypotheses within my lifetime? Thank you for the compliment. We also look forward to her bringing more solutions to mathematics. Professor Zhou Wenping, after overcoming his surprise, checked in while continuing his conversation. He found Wu Tong's paper on Arxiv, downloaded it, and printed it out. Professor Zhou, I got a call from Xiaoli. Zhou Wenping had just hung up his overseas call when Pan Wenho called seamlessly. Yes, I just got a congratulatory message from Fields Medal winner Andrew Wiles. He and Terence Tao have confirmed that Wu Tong has indeed proved the twin prime conjecture, and the method they used has amazed them all. I'm getting ready to go to campus now. Dean. Let's discuss it there. The glory of the Chinese emo national team winning 6 gold medals had just begun to bloom yesterday, and before their joy had completely faded, they were greeted with this earth-shaking news. They were truly overjoyed. Chapter 86, Fing Hu. In a conference room at Peking University's School of Mathematics, gathered with several of the university's top professors, they worked intensively on the verification calculations, finally achieving a definitive result. Pan Wenho couldn't help but laugh. True enough, the younger generation pushes the older generation forward. The older generation, will immediately go to the president to reserve my bonus, pack up and move, and make good on my promise. Ha ha ha, the professors in attendance burst into laughter. If they hadn't personally participated in the verification, who would have imagined that in just 3 months, their words, still fresh in their ears, would be proven by a child like Wu Tong in the blink of an eye? They were mortified. They had been so complacent back then, so ambitious, that many still hadn't decided on their research topics. Sure enough, their worst premonitions had been confirmed. This child truly defied common sense. Hey, Dean Pan, please arrange for this young student's graduation as soon as possible after he enrolls. Otherwise, we teachers will be terrified when we step on stage. It's incredibly stressful for teachers to have a student even more talented than them sitting in the audience. The person who said this clearly favored number theory. He'd proven his prowess with 2 consecutive number theory conjectures, surpassing even the teachers themselves. What else could they possibly teach him? Their old, stagnant ways? That wouldn't be appropriate. I understand. But at least we have to give this kid a year to experience college life. Everyone, keep an eye on him. Don't let anyone snatch away our prized asset from the School of Mathematics. Thinking of the School of Physics' eager eyes on their student, Pan Wenho gave a final word. Xinjiang No. 1 High School added another banner. They hadn't expected to enjoy Wu Tong's influence again after the college entrance exam, winning the EMO gold medal with a perfect score, an achievement Xinjiang couldn't even dream of, had truly achieved. This year, Xinjiang was all over the news, honored by Wu Tong. The Wu and Jin families were filled with congratulations. Their children had truly achieved remarkable success, and the glory was truly unending. Amidst the external commotion, Wu Tong and his companions, already on their way home, their phones off and disconnected, were among those paying close attention. At 3:30 p.m., the Chinese emo national team, after a journey of over 8 hours, landed safely at Shenzhen International Airport. Stepping off the plane and breathing in the familiar air, the group felt a surge of excitement. Indeed, no matter how wonderful the world is, it still doesn't compare to home. At the airport exit, representatives from the Chinese Mathematical Society and Peking University arrived, bearing flowers and small red flags. A banner enthusiastically congratulated the national team on their 6 gold medals at the EMO, awaiting the return of the young men who had brought glory to their country. Major media outlets were buzzing with excitement. As the team entered the terminal, they were surprised by the spectacle. "Oh, this is quite a commotion this year," Guo Jianshan said, looking embarrassed but actually beaming with joy. Chu Xiaosheng and the others nodded in agreement. "We're paid quite well. If I'm on the news tomorrow, my family will be thrilled." Zhang Biber's eyes sparkled. "It's probably already all over the news." Suze Hikun thought about the awards ceremony. This bombshell news wouldn't be missed by the domestic media. "This is the honor you've earned. Go for it, young people." Li Yixing and Professor Chen beamed at this group of energetic students. Landing in their homeland, they couldn't help but relax. Just like schoolmates, in their prime, they said, perfectly capturing the spirit of these children. Welcome back our outstanding young people." The society president stepped forward, warmly shaking hands with everyone and presenting them with a bouquet of flowers. "You've all worked so hard," Wu Tong, in particular, recalled the news they had just received that day. Not only had they achieved the world's highest score at the EMO, but they had also solved the twin prime conjecture, another world-class achievement. Their shock hadn't faded from the moment they heard the news. Wu Tong tried to remain silent and smile, remaining among her teammates to avoid any special treatment. This was everyone's stage for glory, not her own. She didn't want too much attention focused on her at this moment to detract from the others' enjoyment. The constant stream of greetings, inquiries about well-being, the constant flashing of cameras, and the overwhelming glory were truly a thrilling experience. The Mathematical Society hosted a welcome banquet for the group at a star-rated hotel near Peking University. Most of the attendees were members of the Mathematical Society, with one or two guests from the education sector. The main guests were a group of children, and without further delay, they were sent home to rest after dinner, with rooms reserved at the hotel. Almost as soon as they woke up the next morning, everyone was busy, with awards and interviews pouring in. The ceremony was held in the Mathematical Society auditorium. Each gold medalist received a 20,000 yuan scholarship. Wu Tong, who achieved the highest score with a perfect score, also received the EMO Special Award, receiving an additional 30,000 yuan, for a total of 50,000 yuan. These awards were more about honors than specific amounts. While the outside world was buzzing, for the 6 members of the national team, the EMO had truly concluded. "God, everyone, see you in September." Guo Jiajin, a native of Shanghai, was picked up by his family after the awards ceremony, and he was the first to say goodbye. "God, see you later." Chu Ziaisheng was the second to leave. He had applied to an international school, and after the International Mathematical Examination, EMO, he had received an invitation to the mathematics department of his dream school. He had to rush back to High City to handle some paperwork. The other 3 quickly followed suit. "Teacher Li, Professor Chang, let's go too." Because of the twin prime conjecture, the School of Mathematics at Peking University was still waiting for her, and she couldn't leave immediately. "Let's go back to Peking University. My family is so anxious. If you hadn't been so busy here, Dean Pan would have come to grab us," Li Yishan joked as they boarded the car. The Mathematics Society had sent them back to Peking University. The excitement surrounding Wu Tong's proof of the twin prime conjecture was spreading rapidly throughout mathematics, both domestically and internationally. On the way to Peking University, Wu Tong finally had time to check her email. The paper she had submitted the night before had quickly entered the completed accepted section. The editor-in-chief also wrote back, thanking her for her trust. They were sorry that this month's issue had already been published, and that they could not let the world's mathematics enthusiasts see it in this month's issue. They were very sorry. However, in view of the significant results of the proof of the twin prime conjecture, in order to avoid losses to the world's mathematics community, the Annals of Mathematics will publish a special issue for this purpose, so that the world's mathematics community can have a glimpse. The rest are all routine procedures. Finally, there was an invitation note, inviting Wu Tong to become a reviewer for the Annals of Mathematics. Review, is that what she thought? Perhaps it would be a good experience. Wu Tong replied to thank the Annals of Mathematics. Wu Tong didn't know that during the time she submitted the manuscript, the editorial department of the Annals of Mathematics in Princeton had been working around the clock. The third update is here. Chapter 87 Special Issue. Unbeknownst to Wu Tong, the editorial department of the Annals of Mathematics at Princeton had been working non-stop during the time she submitted her paper. Upon seeing Wu Tong's submission and checking the formatting and other aspects for any major issues, the reviewing editor immediately reported it to the editor-in-chief. Boris, the Annals of Mathematics editor-in-chief, possessed considerable mathematical proficiency. While verifying the paper, he also noted Terence Tao's remarks and immediately began contacting other experts for review. The entire process was expedited, and after receiving the re-examination and confirmation from leading experts, he immediately secured a special issue. Covering such significant mathematical content, with clear and confirmed proof, in the Annals of Mathematics solidified their authority, and Wu Tong couldn't afford to miss out. This was also a way to show her goodwill to a rising mathematician who had practically set foot in the field's metal field. Special issue, Wu Tong wasn't familiar with this subject, so she turned to ask Li Yishan, whom she felt was more knowledgeable. Teacher Li, what is a special issue of the Annals of Mathematics? She seemed to have heard of it somewhere. A special issue? One of those special issues that the Annals of Mathematics publishes for exceptionally significant achievements. Li Yishan couldn't help but raise his voice in surprise. He and his co-pilot, Professor Chang, exchanged glances, stunned. They hadn't heard correctly. They'd expected Wu Tong to have another publication published in NC's own one core journal, but they hadn't expected the usually arrogant Annals of Mathematics to publish a special issue just for Wu Tong, after missing its normal publication schedule. 2 top-tier publications in less than 6 months, one of which was a special issue. This record would top the world record books. This achievement had already surpassed them all, even many professors and associate professors at Kyoto University. The academic presentations at Kyoto University's School of Mathematics this year would be filled with immense pride because of these 2 top-tier publications. If possible, Li Yishan and Professor Chang would love to learn from Wu Tong the proper way to publish in a top-tier journal. Li Yishan and Professor Chang's astonishment spread to the entire Kyoto University School of Mathematics. A special issue, a special issue. Such an honor, who wouldn't be envious and proud? After carefully explaining the special issue's distinction to Wu Tong, the meeting got down to business. Student Wu Tong, I've already discussed the prize money with the president. The 1 million yuan prize will be distributed soon, and the award ceremony will be held at the opening ceremony. Give me a few days, and I'll arrange the relocation as soon as possible. After a moment of surprise, Pan Wenhu made a decisive decision. Kyoto University has appointed you as a full researcher at the Kyoto University Mathematics Research Center. You will enjoy the benefits of a full researcher, effective this month, Professor Zhou Wenping added with a smile. As the head of the Kyoto University Mathematics Research Center here, it was most appropriate for him to announce this news. The Kyoto University Mathematics Research Center is not a place accessible to ordinary students. Even some lecturers cannot even hope to join as full researchers without excellent academic performance. Wu Tong, however, falls short of being considered ordinary. Her brilliance and glory already support half of the Kyoto University School of Mathematics. This year, Kyoto University is filled with infinite glory because of Wu Tong. Dean, there's really no need to move. I understand your resolve. Whether it's the school dorm or the house in your Nidon, they're more than enough for me to live and study. There's really no need for you to move. I'd be embarrassed to move in if you did. Wu Tong hadn't taken the joke seriously, but when she saw that Dean Pan Wenhu was determined to follow through, she quickly dissuaded him. Forcing the dean, a teacher, to move because of her was too much psychological pressure. Her small shoulders couldn't bear it, she truly couldn't. How could a student force their teacher to move? That's disrespectful to their teachers. Haha. Dean, we understand how you feel. You've lived in that house for years. You can't let Wu Tong live in your old place, right? You should talk to the leaders and improve Wu Tong's housing benefits so he can live in the new house, Professor Zhou Wenping suggested, smiling indirectly. The thought of actually having the dean move made the student uneasy. But Dean Pan was a man of his word. He kept his word and always delivered, and that was something they all admired. In this case, let's compromise. The previous living allowance in your Nidon can no longer keep up with Wu Tong's progress, and it's time to improve it. Or change it to a school subsidy, and Wu Tong can contribute some funds to purchase the property, and grant it a targeted property right. In this way, the family of the child who wants to come to Beijing to reunite with the child will have more freedom to live there. Secondly, Wu Tong already has a property in Peking University. After graduation, it is natural and logical for him to stay in Peking University. Such a top scholar who has become a leader in the world, if Peking University lets him go, it will be a real regret. The reason why Huiking dares to confront Peking University in mathematics is nothing more than that the Chu Chengtong Mathematical Center is located in Huiking and there is a Fields Medal winner in charge. Wu Tong, still 10 days shy of turning 17, has a long future ahead of her. Having already proved the two worlds conjecture in number theory, and given the current trajectory, who dares to say she won't step onto the Fields Medal podium? Rumors are already circulating that Wu Tong is the most likely Chinese person to win the Fields Medal, a true Chinese citizen of Chinese nationality. While some Chinese have won the Fields Medal, the Nobel Prize in Mathematics, none of them are Chinese citizens. As for the funding, it was originally a reward for Wu Tong and an investment in her by Peking University. She wouldn't have to shoulder too much of the burden, and with the accumulated prize money from both awards, she wouldn't be under too much financial pressure. Ultimately, the plan was finalized. and Pan Wenho no longer insisted on moving. Although he was the head of Peking University's School of Mathematics, his house was indeed an old one, and he couldn't force his child to live in their dilapidated, outdated place. Wu Tong was granted a 3-bedroom, 2-living-room, 158-square-meter apartment. A level of housing afforded to many of Peking University's top professors, even those at the rank of associate dean or above. It's clear how much Kyoto University values Wu Tong. Wu Tong's prize money will be used as housing allowance, and the property rights will be registered in Wu Tong's name. After Wu Tong joins the university, he can apply for research funding according to the standards of a full professor, all kinds of resources, all kinds of preferential treatment, and the focus of everything is to make sure Wu Tong stays at Kyoto University and becomes a leading figure in the university. After the business was over, Pan Wenho led the curious professors and asked, "Wu Tong, take a good rest during the summer vacation. After school starts, what are your plans for the next step? Will you continue to delve into number theory? Is there anything you need help from the university? In the past 6 months, the university has received so much glory because of Wu Tong. To be honest, their contribution, apart from library resources and some limited public classroom resources, has been almost zero. They are almost ashamed to mention the rewards other children receive after proving conjectures, as they are just hindsight." Chapter 88, Alert. The twin prime conjecture had already been proven by this kid. In the field of number theory, especially prime numbers, Wu Tong was already a nationally and even internationally renowned figure. It was hard not to be curious about his next goal. Word was circulating within Peking University circles that whatever Wu Tong set his sights on could be solved with remarkable speed. "Are you aiming to challenge the Polignat conjecture, which is also in the same family?" Professor Zhou Wenping asked with a smile. The twin prime conjecture, under the special condition of k equals 1, proved that there are infinitely many prime pairs, p plus 2k, where k is a positive integer, and that Polinac's conjecture, which is the Polignac conjecture, would be the most suitable next step. However, they weren't surprised that this kid wanted to challenge the Goldbach conjecture. With such youthful vigor and ambition, and with such a string of significant achievements, what was a little ambition? He was fearless, that was what youth meant. These middle-aged and elderly men had all been through youth, and who hadn't dreamed of conquering the Goldbach conjecture and sweeping away the Riemann function? At most, the teachers could keep a closer eye on the students, preventing them from getting frustrated and getting stuck in a rut, ultimately wasting their talents. What's next? Wu Tong smiled sheepishly. When proving twin primes, I already had some ideas for the Polignac conjecture. I might venture into the Goldbach conjecture, or study fluid mechanics and materials science. Over the past 6 months of research on prime numbers, she's amassed a profound foundation in prime numbers and number theory, almost reaching the limits of her current horizons. Breakthroughs and advancements, without a moment's inspiration, are not something that can be achieved overnight. Therefore, Wu Tong has set a higher goal for herself and wants to explore other areas of research, both to avoid wasting time and to draw inferences from one area to another. My main task is to continue studying. The Goldbach conjecture is my biggest challenge, Wu Tong added modestly, urging the teachers not to misunderstand her. She can solve this crown jewel of number theory in no time. She really just set a goal. If she was going to solve it, it would at least be her graduation thesis, but she definitely wouldn't think about it this year. Are there any ideas for the Polignac conjecture? Unsurprisingly, the assembled faculty members reacted with astonishment. It's no wonder that as professors at Kyoto University, they weren't paying attention to their role models. Truly, encountering such a brilliant student always exceeded their expectations. When did proving conjectures become so easy? It felt like something that could be accomplished effortlessly, rather than a monumental problem that had plagued humanity for centuries. "Touch brother guess," he said. No, you're not overestimating yourself, they're the ones overestimating themselves." The last person qualified, perhaps, was this youngest girl. Meanwhile, everyone couldn't help but rejoice. Were they about to witness the proof of the Polignac conjecture again soon? Okay, take your time. Take your time. I'll have Professor Lee get a form later. First, submit your project application and get the funding approved by the Academic Affairs Office, Pan Wenho explained carefully. This time, Kyoto University was going to make a name for itself. After 2 such significant demonstrations, they still couldn't legitimately serve as Wu Tong's designated school. What a loss. Okay, Dean Pan, after the meeting, I'll assist Wu Tong with completing the application, Li Yixing agreed. As Wu Tong's most socially connected and arguably Wu Tong's most trusted professor at Peking University, Professor Li Yixing had been undeniably recognized by both Wu Tong and Peking University as one of his admissions advisors. While this guidance, due to Wu Tong's rapid progress, was now limited to practical guidance, it was still highly sought after by many Peking University professors and associate professors. Li Yixing willingly endured the burden, even if it meant a little more effort. Who wouldn't want to have such a brilliant student, one who looked like a shining star, ready to provide shade? With just a little guidance, they could easily achieve a top-tier ranking. Just the thought of this made Li Yixing envious. If it weren't for the shamelessness of it, many teachers would have wanted to join Wu Tong's team, a guiding light. Li Yixing was very happy, and all the envy, jealousy and hatred were ignored in his mind. It's a good thing to study more, but we still have to focus on mathematics. Mathematics is the most beautiful theory of the universe, Zhou Wenping added on the side. Such a student with a wide range of interests is also a headache. They have to be vigilant about their top students at all times, so that they don't let other shameless people snatch them away. Dean Pan couldn't say this, he had to persuade them. The child was still young and had such achievements. To be honest, they could only coax and persuade him, not force him, and they couldn't let such a mathematical genius go astray. I know, Dean, Professor Zhou, mathematics is the foundation of all sciences, and I will never give up studying mathematics. Wu Tong nodded and agreed with a smile. She didn't say that she would not do other things, but mathematics would be her foundation. Professor Zhou's words reminded her of a joke the teacher Li had told her. There's a chain of disdain in mathematics. Theoretical researchers despise applied researchers despise statistical researchers despise machine learning researchers. Theory and application are actually two major areas of contention, with mutual disdain. However, this isn't entirely true in China, especially among the older generation. For the sake of national development, they essentially treat themselves as bricks, moving wherever needed, even striving to master unfamiliar fields. The older generation is more pragmatic, and for China's rise, practical application is paramount. Wu Tong's interest in fluid mechanics and materials science stems not only from his own interests but also from his connections with Jinzin. Jinzin applied and was accepted in the early admissions round. He had already determined his path and applied to the School of Aerospace Sciences at the University of Science and Technology of China, majoring in aircraft design and engineering. Wu Tong didn't prioritize his studies, but his interests became his priority. After the meeting, Li Yixing gave Wu Tong a heartfelt analysis of the topic of research funding. Although you're still a student, no one will treat you like one. The 2 awards you earned for proving the Zhou conjecture and the twin prime conjecture were both awarded to you by the Academy. They're part of the scholarship program. With your current academic level and the school's endorsement, you're already qualified to apply for a national research project. This child's youth is enviable, not even adulthood, but the country certainly won't overlook Wu Tong's excellence. They're not just looking for talent, they're also looking for top talent. It's not like Wu Tong can't make a push. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Wish. This child's youth is enviable, not even an adult yet, but the country will certainly not ignore Wu Tong's excellence. Talent is selected regardless of background. This is the saying of a great man, and it is also the principle of the country's selection of talents and its deep implementation of policies. Applying for national research projects requires a lot of procedures. If you have an idea, you can first apply for university funding. The university also has targeted research funding, and many research expenses can be directly used for scientific research. This is only temporary. Wu Tong's rise has been too rapid, and many of the necessary equipment cannot keep up with her growth rate. Her age will also be a slight limitation in China. For the Changjiang elite young scientists and other programs, Wu Tong does not meet the age and academic requirements. However, for the 10,000 Top Talents program, Wu Tong is not invincible. Although our expenses for mathematics aren't as high as those for physics and materials, we still have expenses. For example, travel expenses for overseas trips and business exchanges, publication fees for journals, better office equipment, computers, printers, and so on. You can even give yourself a salary of tens of thousands for living expenses. These are all legitimate expenses, as long as you don't fabricate or falsify information. The country and the university are happy to support talent like you who can solve major problems. There aren't many restrictions on reasonable expenses. Li Yisheng sighed slightly inwardly. The academic world is not without its flaws. There are always bad apples, but we can't deny the entire world just because of a few bad apples. Wu Tong finally understood the significance of scientific research funding. It represents strong national support for scientific research. However, before filling out a proposal report that afternoon, Wu Tong had one more matter to attend to. At 2:30 p.m., Wu Tong was interviewed by a reporter from an official newspaper. They wanted to do a targeted interview with him and set an example for young people. The interview location was taken by Peking University, who were cunning enough to bring Wu Tong back to the school first and arrange for him to be interviewed in the lecture hall of the School of Mathematics. The obvious Peking University logo served as the background for Wu Tong's interview. The reporter's surname was Peng. He looked gentle and refined, with half-white hair and a scholarly air. He looked more like an educator than a reporter. He had indeed been in charge of the education section for many years and was an experienced veteran. This time, in order to show their appreciation for Wu Tong, they sent him here. Reporter Peng's interview style was very relaxed, like a chat, which made Wu Tong feel a little more relaxed. She had little experience in facing reporters, and this was her first real one-on-one interview, so she was a little nervous. Do you have any thoughts on your current achievements? After learning about Wu Tong's information, he was still shocked by this girl's achievements and was speechless for a long time after interviewing so many famous scholars. Many find it hard to imagine that approver of the Zhou conjecture, the top scorer in the Gaokao National College Entrance Examination, the EMO Gold Medal and Special Prize, and the prover of the twin prime conjecture, all in the hands of a girl not even 17 years old. Perhaps, in the future, this girl will achieve even greater success. He even reflected on what he was doing at 16, and whether there were any facts worth mentioning. Clearly, none. At 16, he was just an ordinary student, still worried about whether he could continue his studies. And yet, this little girl before him has already amazed the world and made a name for herself in the international mathematical community. Any feelings? I think I should be grateful for waking up at the right time, making the most of my time, and achieving the results I wanted. I used to be quite playful, too. Or perhaps, I should be grateful for my mother, Teacher Jin, who has been pushing me since I was a child. Wu Tong smiled softly. It is my honor and wish to be able to use what I have learned to add glory to my country. I just did some relatively ordinary things and solved 2 math problems. In this world, there are many more great people and great deeds: soldiers guarding the borders, firefighters saving people from fire and water, public security officers protecting people's lives and safety, selfless and unknown scientific researchers. Compared with them, I just move my pen and have only done some theoretical things so far. I hope that in the future, I will have the opportunity to contribute more of my own strength to the country with what I have learned. For these modest achievements, I should actually thank many people. Thank my parents, my grandparents, my uncle. Thank them for giving me their unique love. No matter what I am like, I am the best in their eyes. Thank you to my teachers for not giving up on me, a poor student. Thank you to Beijing University for its freedom and openness, which has provided me with the resources and platform for progress. Students. Wu Tong, you're so simple and humble, Reporter Peng exclaimed with emotion. This little girl is incredible, with such a charisma that he couldn't help but envy her parents. She's so grateful, and despite such great achievements, she remains neither arrogant nor impatient, always striving for her goals. Her words weren't filled with excessive self-praise or embellishment, but instead were filled with emotion. What drew you to delve into mathematics? The interview continued. I think I love it. I enjoy acquiring knowledge, the joy of learning and mastering it. My mom taught math in elementary school, and math was the first subject I encountered besides speaking, so I have a particularly vivid memory of it. Wu Tong laughed. Previously, she might have called this memory very vivid, something like bitterness and resentment. But after truly falling in love with learning, math has become her most cherished foundation. She didn't mention it specifically, to save herself some face. Mathematics is the foundation of all sciences. It is indispensable in our lives, and scientific research, like an interest, are the best source of motivation. How could you prove such a major world problem as the twin prime conjecture in such a tight time for participating in EMO? The twin prime conjecture is a problem I have been exploring since I came to Peking University to study in advance after the Chinese New Year. It is a very interesting mathematical problem. I have been working on it for half a year. I also want to thank an unknown teacher at Peking University who once suggested that I consider the direction of topology. At the end of the EMO competition, Professor Chang, the teacher who led the team, and I extended the discussion on mathematical topics. Suddenly, I had an inspiration. After in-depth deduction, I conquered the general direction of proving it. In fact, I didn't think too much about it at the time. I just wanted to prove it by the end of July and give it to myself as a birthday present. Professor Chang, the teacher who led the team, helped me with the logistics throughout the whole process. I didn't have to worry about anything. It took me 2 days to come up with a proof, and another 3 days to organize the paper and upload it. As for those competing remarks, there is no need to elaborate here. Everyone knows it. I've seen so many touching moments of disaster relief and rescue efforts over the past 2 days, and I'm filled with deep emotion. I hope the disaster is over soon. Thank you to all those lovely and respectable people. Chapter 90 News. This is probably the best and most special birthday gift, reporter Peng exclaimed heartily. As expected of a scholar, a rising star in mathematics, even his birthday gift was so special. In a few days, Wu Tong, your 17th birthday will be here. I'm honored to wish you a happy birthday on behalf of the official newspaper. Thinking of his other responsibility, reporter Peng smiled meaningfully. They would also give Wu Tong a special birthday gift. What are your plans for the future? Honestly, Wu Tong's current achievements would already last her a lifetime. Mathematics is profound. I need to continue to improve my research and learn other useful knowledge. In these final moments, is there anything you want to say to young people across the country? Then I wish all young people the honor of being born in China. Aim high, grow in knowledge, be fearless in youth, and do the right things at the best of times, making the most of your youth and accumulating your abilities. We can enjoy a peaceful life because someone else is carrying the burden for us. The efforts of our ancestors have allowed us to live in a prosperous era. If you have the energy, please contribute to China's rise. May each of us find our best selves. After the interview and seeing off the visiting reporters, Wu Tong, with the assistance of Li Yishan, successfully completed his proposal application. Li Yishan was an exceptionally dedicated and competent mentor, providing detailed and unconditional guidance. His guidance was heartfelt and genuinely considered. Wu Tong had entered the polygnat conjecture as the topic of his application. What was the funding section? Wu Tong scratched her head. Paper, pens, and publishing costs won't cost much? My scholarship is more than enough. Of these, only the publishing costs were more expensive. When Zhou's conjecture was published, it cost around 10,000 yuan, which the school had largely reimbursed. The paper and pens were negligible, so she probably only needed to put in 10,000 yuan, right? If the school was willing to cover the bulk of the publishing costs, she'd just saved a bit of money. Mathematical research is arguably the most economical. She already has the general outline of the polygnat conjecture, but the details still need further research, so there's not much extra cost. So far, besides going home, she hasn't done much traveling, visiting, or otherwise. Just at a zero. That's already a big savings for the school. Li Yishan held his forehead. 10,000 yuan wouldn't even be enough for a funding application, and 100,000 yuan would be a significant saving. Given the difficulty of Wu Tong's project, adding 2 more zeros would solve the problem, and 1,000,000 yuan wouldn't be too much. When you have your accommodation arranged, you'll need a computer and printer for your home, as well as other office supplies. Li Yishan was almost ready to teach Wu Tong how to use the funds. Wu Tong chose him as her advisor out of trust and affection. He was conscientious and put in a little extra effort, which was a duty and a sense of loyalty. Wu Tong was an obedient child. Following Li Yishan's guidance, she uploaded the funding application for her thesis proposal. However, she was scratching her head. What if the school's funding came in more slowly? What if she finished the proof first? Would she then have the funds returned? After finishing her work and having dinner, the day was over. Wu Tong's luggage had already been delivered to the dormitory, and it would be kept there for her until she graduated and no longer needed it. Wu Tong was supposed to book a ticket home today, but it was clear that she was so busy that she was almost exhausted. Li Yishan told her not to worry about the plane ticket. The school had already booked a direct flight for her to Yingzhou tomorrow, and he would personally take her to the airport. As long as Wu Tong was at Peking University, the school would be eager to serve her. Wu Tong, remember to turn on the TV and watch the national news tonight. Remember to remind your family. Li Yishan glanced at the time before parting with Wu Tong, reminding her with a mysterious smile. Oh, watch the news? Wu Tong was stunned, a little confused. It was rare to see Wu Tong, known for her academic prowess, lost in thought, revealing a childishness for her age. Li Yishan's smile turned mischievous, and he didn't elaborate further. He also had to quickly find a place to watch the news. Tonight, he would also be a witness to the students' glory. Watch the news? Was there a major news event at Peking University on the news today? Want to increase the real-time viewing rate? Probably not. The news's viewing rate is rare and stable. However, most of the family would watch the news, so it wasn't too much of a hassle. Wu Tong turned on the TV in his room, realizing the school's deep concern. Before the summer heat arrived, the dormitory's air conditioner had been replaced with a quieter and more energy-efficient model, and a small refrigerator and a new large-screen TV were also fully equipped. Wu Tong's biggest use for the television happened to be watching the news. The Jin family, the Wu family, and Wu Tong, who was in her Beijing University dormitory, were all connected via video chat. Wu Tong leaned against the headboard, her brows relaxed, her expression content, and she chatted with her family slowly and quietly, enjoying the joy of being with them. With the advancement of technology, distance was no longer a barrier to family contact. Listening to the video feed, her father, grandfather, and uncle occasionally commenting on current affairs through their phones, she felt a man's joy, a joy not often experienced by young people. She and her brother had been exposed to the news broadcast since they were young, mostly watching it with their family. They only really started to seriously watch the news when they were asked about current affairs for the high school entrance exam. The news first of all were about major domestic events. After a little over 10 minutes, the screen suddenly changed, and the familiar anchor reported with a familiar standard smile, "Recently, the 51st International Mathematical Olympiad held in Hassan-Sultan has come to a successful conclusion. The 6 contestants of our national team won 6 gold medals. With a total score of 213 points, they ranked first in the team and won the championship of this competition. They were also the only team with all gold medals. They were 52 points higher than the second-place Russian team. Congratulations to our outstanding young people who went to compete for our country." As the anchor spoke, the projection background was also switched in real time to the proud picture of the Chinese team winning the first place in the team, with the bright red flags and the young people's high spirits echoing each other. At the same time, Wu Tong, one of the 6 team members, won first place in the EMO with the only perfect score in this year's International Mathematical Olympiad and was awarded the special award, which is reportedly given to contestants who solve the exam questions with ingenious and innovative methods. Even more surprising and exciting was that, while waiting for the results after the competition, Wu Tong proved the world-renowned twin prime conjecture. It is reported that this problem has been proposed for 110 years, and the international mathematical community has highly recognized and praised Wu Tong's proof. Prior to this, in April, Wu Tong also provided a nearly 20-year-old solution to another world-renowned problem, the Zhou conjecture, for which he was hailed as the Pearl of the Orient by top international mathematical scholars. Chapter 91 Proposal. Next, our reporter's live interview with Wu Tong. The screen switched to footage from Wu Tong's afternoon interview. The audience, watching the Kyoto University logo, were hardly paying attention. Everyone's attention was fixed on the young woman, Wu Tong, standing at the center of the screen. Wu Tong, how do you feel about your achievements so far? My thoughts? Live up to your time and achieve what you want. It's my honor and aspiration to use what I've learned to bring glory to our country. I just did some ordinary things. There are many more great people and deeds in this world, then I wish you to live up to your youth and accumulate your abilities. We have a peaceful life because someone is carrying the burden for us. Be the best version of yourself. Give it to yourself as a birthday gift. In 10 days, Wu Tong will be turning 17. On behalf of our station and our country, I wish you a happy birthday in advance, continued success, and the fulfillment of all your wishes. Next news, from the moment Emo's report appeared on the news broadcast. In the connected video,
except for Wu Jingzhang, Jin Xin and Jin Yuan, who recorded the video under the trembling and excited urging of the crowd. During the short few minutes of this news, the family held their breath, kept quiet, and watched excitedly. No sound was made until the next news started to be played. "Oh, my Baoniu is on the news," Grandma Jin smiled widely. She had seen too many national affairs in the news for many years. This time, seeing her Baoniu on the news, she felt so excited and proud. "My precious granddaughter is amazing, more amazing than all the people in the family combined," Jin Yongqing praised with a smile. "Grandpa will go to the market to buy a big fish tomorrow morning and raise it in a big tank. Tong can drink fish soup when she comes back. Come to our house tomorrow, we will celebrate for Tong. Listen, her Tong is very talkative." Teacher Jin Yu covered her mouth and nose with her hands, almost crying with joy. In the past year, Tong has really given them too many surprises and shocks. They really don't know how many lifetimes of blessings they have accumulated to have a good child like Tong. The silly father and the silly uncle can only smile foolishly at this moment, and there is also a silly little brother. The whole family began to laugh foolishly in perfect synchronization. Happy is not enough to describe their hearts that are overwhelmed by the surging excitement at the moment. When the Wu family and the Jin family were in ecstasy, the audiences from all sides who were watching TV as usual across the country were undoubtedly also overwhelmed with emotions. "Oh, how is this little girl trained? How could she be so outstanding that people look up to her? At the age of 16, she has achieved what many people cannot achieve at the age of 60. Many parents look at their own twisted children again. Oh, can't compare. The difference in comparison is really enough to make people have a myocardial infarction immediately. For the sake of their lives, it is better to empty your brain and don't compare. Otherwise, it will be your own life that will be lost." Online, many netizens have started a heated discussion thread. "My God says he's a poor student? Take a reading comprehension test. Is he the poor student who doesn't get a perfect score? My God's glory. Shine on China. My God, reach new heights. The people above are going crazy, but I'm also a crazy My God fan. Let's party together tonight." Again, I'm moved. At 16, My God reigns supreme in the international arena. At 36, I'm catching up again. I'll pass the CPA exam this year and not embarrass My God. Happy 17th birthday to My God. May your youth blossom and wisdom last forever. At a base and distance is how some people were also accustomed to watching the news broadcast. In the group cafeteria, during their rare time to relax and eat, news was their best source of information about the outside world. When the image of a group of emo teenagers, full of youthful energy and pride, appeared, someone couldn't help but sigh. Another group of outstanding children. I wonder if any of them will be able to join our base in the future. As the news continued, listening to the content of the news broadcast, these scientific researchers couldn't help but raise their eyebrows in shock. Oh my God, are the kids nowadays so awesome? Ordinary math problems can't stump them anymore, and they are even trying to solve the world's difficult mathematical conjectures? Joe's conjecture, twin prime conjecture, did I hear correctly? They were all proved by this 16-year-old child? Our little Chinese girl is awesome. Although most of them are not from a math background, they are mostly aware of mathematical conjectures. The difficulty level, if there's even a little bit of ease, would not mean that no one has cracked it for hundreds or thousands of years. Come on, it's either awesome or awesome. You should use some elegant words to describe the girl. Smart, wisdom, are these not nice to hear or not useful? Go away. Go away, with your Chinese grades. Have you ever passed? You still come to teach me, don't lead me astray. The kids nowadays are really amazing. These old guys can't compare to such achievements. Haha. Mr. Liu, Peking University is your alma mater, right? Such an amazing kid, why don't you recruit him to our institute? Someone couldn't help but look at the man behind him who was wearing an ordinary shirt and trousers, but was still dashing and elegant. This chief here refers to the chief designer, not some chief of a commercial company. Their institute has been doing large-scale computational deductions recently, and they are in urgent need of cutting-edge talents in this area. Heroes come regardless of age, and this girl's ability is exactly what they need. Let's do that. Even if Liu Bei visited him 3 times at his thatched cottage, after playing with materials for a long time, all that comes to mind is the structure of this molecule or that molecule. They have long since returned Chinese to the teacher. Lu Xiao pinched his eyebrows.
A smile on the corner of his lips had not completely disappeared. She is indeed an amazing girl. He just mentioned it casually and was not worthy of her thanks. From the Lantern Festival to now, less than half a year has passed, and this classmate Wu Tong has proved the twin prime conjecture, and also came up with a proof of Zhou's conjecture. It's amazing. He reached out and opened the laptop placed aside, and tapped the keyboard to query and export Wu Tong's 2 papers. The unique mathematical beauty in the rows immediately caught his eye. The rigorous and close deductions in the paper, the meticulous and powerful logical connection, are even more admirable. Outsiders watch the excitement, and insiders watch the doorway. This is the shock that only people who know the business can feel. Lu Xiao's powerful computing power allowed him to perform calculations and verify them in his mind as he browsed and read. The others were not surprised. They had long since privately dubbed Mr. Lu's computing prowess the walking supercomputer, a name well deserved. Resting his chin on his hand, Lu Xiao tilted his head in thought, pondering whether he was drawn to physics, dynamics, and engineering. The foundations of mathematics became tools for advancing physics, infinitely expanding his computing advantages. Truly speaking, his mathematical talent, once highly praised, was no match for this young woman. Perhaps he could hope that this classmate could bring them some surprising progress? Chapter 92 Skylight. On the day Wu Tong arrived home, the twin prime conjecture was proved, and a special issue of the Annals of Mathematics was published worldwide. It was like another depth charge dropped on the international mathematical community, sending shockwaves reverberating from within. South Asia, Borneo, Hydra. In a pre-booked hotel conference room, members of the International Union of Mathematicians, assigned to the conference in advance, were busily and methodically making preparations. Although the 26th International Congress of Mathematicians, ICM 2010, wasn't officially scheduled for another month, no successful conference is achieved overnight, and months of advance preparation are commonplace. The International Congress of Mathematicians, ICM, initiated and organized by the International Mathematical Union, is the largest international mathematical gathering, boasting over a century of history. The first Congress was held in Zurich in 1897. Following the Paris Congress in 1900, it was held every 4 years, uninterrupted except during the 2 world wars. This year coincided with the 26th edition of this grand gathering of mathematicians. As the world's highest-level academic conference in mathematical science, the largest and most prestigious gathering in the international mathematics community, the Congress primarily focuses on academic exchange and awards the Fields Medal, Chern Medal, Guaz Medal, and Nevinland Medal. Each Congress invites mathematicians who have made outstanding achievements in the past 4 years to present key advances in their respective fields. Being invited by the International Congress of Mathematicians to deliver 1 hour and 45-minute presentations is a high honor, demonstrating the significant international impact of the inviter's work. Being designated for a 1-hour presentation is particularly prestigious, and presenters are undoubtedly some of the most prominent mathematicians working today, many of whom are past or future Fields Medal winners. Invitees are appointed by the International Mathematical Union and a program committee composed of world-renowned mathematicians. As the Congress approaches, most matters have been finalized, and the deadlines for the presentations of the most procrastinating reports have been set. The committee members responsible for finalizing the conference schedule are relatively relaxed, able to catch up on the latest developments in the mathematical community. Someone exclaimed, "Oh my God! A proof of the twin prime conjecture? A special issue of the Annals of Mathematics. Oh my God! That genius, the Oriental Pearl Girl, has pulled off another miracle. She's even proved twin primes. Oh my God! She's only 16 years old. I'm still chasing Lena, racking my brains to write love poems for her, and high school math is still a struggle, and this little girl has solved another mathematical conjecture. Oh my God! This world is crazy, another damn enviable genius, another Tao? Too bad she didn't make it to this year's Mathematicians Congress. She'll have to wait until the next one. By the time the Annals of Mathematics are published in May, all the presenters will have been confirmed. Otherwise, we would have witnessed this young kid take the stage at the Mathematical Congress this year." A companion leaned over to take a look, shared his shock, then shrugged regretfully. Even if it's the next Congress, this young genius is only 20 years old. 20 is still young enough to be envied, isn't it? Everyone in the conference room discussed and sighed. Ding ding ding. The phone rang. Conference organizer Alvin, upon answering, was jokingly joking with his colleagues, "Look, Professor Berg was here again to confirm his meeting details and his salary." However, as the call connected, Alvin's expression shifted from playful to sullen and furious at the hurried, frantic announcement from the other end. What? Professor Berg was rushed to the hospital by his beloved dog? A giant Caucasian shepherd? With a broken leg. Oh, my God. After the call ended, Alvin clutched his forehead, looking visibly troubled. Did that giant dog eat someone's brain? What's going on? Alvin, what's going on with Professor Berg? Seeing his colleague and superior's clearly uneasy expression, he couldn't help but ask. After all, with a meeting so close to start, if something went wrong, it wouldn't just be Alvin who would be scrambling to fix it, everyone present would be frantically trying to fix it. Haha. Our dear Professor Berger was dragged down by his beloved dog, a tall Caucasian shepherd dog, while walking his dog this morning. He suffered a broken leg and a broken arm, and will need to be bedridden for at least 6 months. That means our conference's 45-minute presentation was completely blanked. Ugh. Damn that dog, that suicidal Berger, why didn't he just raise a man-eating tiger? Thinking of the frantic work ahead, searching the world for suitable mathematicians, inviting them, chasing them for papers, he couldn't help but feel mad. Poor Professor Berger, let's mourn for him. The questioner couldn't help but feel a twinge of pain. Is there anyone else this year, or in the past 2 years, who has achieved such remarkable results, outstanding enough to give a 45-minute presentation at a mathematicians' congress? The moment they calculated the relentless workload ahead, many looked devastated. They had barely recovered from the stress of chasing papers. Which of those great mathematicians was easy to get along with? The king of delays was just average. A major achievement, a proof of the twin prime conjecture. Does that count? The person who had just exclaimed pointed to the screen, where they had just opened a special issue on the proof of twin primes. There shouldn't be a more significant mathematical advancement this year. This kid's youth is truly astonishing. With only a month left until the conference, they didn't have much time to waste. I'll report to the president. Alvin threw his hands up, feeling overwhelmed. He had no other choice. Thanks to this rising star in mathematics, he should be able to fill his skylight with a perfect window. On July 20th, Wu Tong's phone rang while he was talking to his family. Wu Tong glanced at it. It looked like an overseas call. Was it a scam? Wu Tong hung up immediately and blocked the call. A moment later, Wu Tong's phone rang again. Had she stumbled upon a scam today? With such persistence, Wu Tong thought the caller had just changed their number. However, the caller ID on the phone screen made Wu Tong pause before continuing to hang up. Professor Zhou Wenping? Is there something going on at school? Why is it Professor Zhou calling her? Without delay, she gestured to Teacher Jin and Ms. Su to answer the phone, and Wu Tong answered the call. Professor Zhou, good morning, classmate Wu Tong. Are you curious why I called you? Zhou Wenping greeted with a smile. Usually, Li Yishan was responsible for contacting Wu Tong. Today, he called suddenly, which must have left the little classmate confused. Professor Zhou, I'm honored and happy to receive your call. What should Wu Tong say? She could only smile shyly. Could she say, Professor, you have said everything I wanted to say. Chapter 93 Sighs. Ha ha ha. Enough joking, let's get down to business. Zhou Wenping laughed heartily. Playing with children was truly a joyous experience, especially since this child had just landed on such a good note. Did you just hang up on an overseas caller and block them? You didn't even check your email, huh? How did Professor Zhou know? Wu Tong almost wondered if he had the ability to predict the future. Don't worry, I don't have any predictive powers, and I'm not monitoring them. That was a call from the International Union of Mathematicians. They called me first, asked for your number, then called you, and when they couldn't get through, they asked me to call you back. Oh, I thought it was a scam, so I hung up and blocked it. I've been getting so many messages in my email lately, I've blocked them and will sort them out every few days. Wu Tong rubbed his nose sheepishly. Lately, he's been flooded with advertisements and offers from prestigious overseas universities. His phone has been constantly buzzing with notifications, and Wu Tong has become so annoyed that he's blocked all the notifications. Ha ha ha. Wu Tong, you're very cautious. Keep going, but you can let them out this time. I have a good news story. Congratulations, Wu Tong. You're going to give a talk at the International Congress of Mathematicians. I won't delay you any longer, and I'll let them talk to you in detail. Remember to check your email,
Zhou Wenping said with a smile before hanging up the phone. Wu Tong released herself from the blacklist and opened her email, only to see the latest email, signed officially by ICM. It congratulated her on proving the twin prime conjecture, following her proof of the Zhou conjecture in May, and invited her to give a 45-minute talk at the International Congress of Mathematicians in August. The link to upload the talk was included at the end, along with some notes. She seemed to have received a similar email before, but it seemed to invite her to take time to attend the conference. She hadn't paid much attention to it at the time, but now it suddenly occurred to her. This time, it was a formal invitation to give a talk. Her phone rang again, and Wu Tong answered it immediately. "Good morning, it should be morning your time." "Miss Wu," Alvin wanted to say, "your phone is so hard to get through, so hard to contact." He hadn't received a reply to his email, so he had to find Professor Peng, also from China and scheduled to give a 1-hour talk at the Mathematicians Congress. He then contacted Professor Zhou at Peking University, and finally reached out to this person. However, considering the tempers of those top mathematicians, and considering this future talent in the making, who could already be among the ranks of internationally renowned scholars, perhaps even at the forefront, he decided to keep his mouth shut. She immediately changed her tone to more polite. "Sorry to interrupt your family reunion. I'm Alfvane from the International Union of Mathematicians, responsible for organizing this congress. I apologize for sending you this invitation without authorization. Professor Berger was accidentally dragged down by his Caucasian shepherd dog and broke his limbs. We are honored to invite you to attend this congress and give a 45-minute presentation. All expenses for your participation, including round-trip airfare and accommodation, will be covered. We hope this doesn't inconvenience you. Due to urgent time, I'm sorry. But we can only give you 10 days to prepare your presentation. 10 days should be enough for a concise presentation on the proof of twin primes. Meeting time is limited, and a detailed explanation of the proof is impossible. Mathematicians who can attend the Congress possess a solid foundation and don't need to be crammed like ordinary students. 10 days, Wu Tong was scratching her head. Solving the Polignac conjecture in 10 days would surely keep her busy again. Was she going to have to fight brainstorming this month? But it was the International Congress of Mathematicians, her first international conference, so she had to bring something substantial to the table and promote the nation's prestige. She'd have to finish her work as soon as possible before taking a vacation. "Okay, I understand. I'll upload my report within 10 days, that is, before the end of July." Fortunately, she had already developed some ideas when she was working on the twin prime conjecture. With some hard work, she could still complete the challenge. "Thank you for your understanding and support. Give my regards to your family and wish you a happy day." With his worries finally settled and his concerns resolved, Alvin gracefully hung up the phone. "Tong, where's the call? Did you speak in English?" Su Mifang and Jinyu, who waited until Wu Tong hung up, asked curiously. While Wu Tong was on the phone, Su Mifang curiously nudged her sister-in-law. Teacher Jin reluctantly reached out and said her English had long since returned to the teacher, and she only understood the simple greetings at the beginning. "Good morning." Since her daughter was rarely home, Teacher Jin had rescheduled her morning classes so she could spend time with her. But why did she feel like her daughter, on vacation, was even busier than them, even busy with international channels? Su Mifang and Teacher Jin exchanged a glance, suddenly realizing how outdated they were, unable to keep up with the young woman's progress. Shouldn't they learn international jargon? It would be wonderful if international jargon became Chinese, so they could be immersed in their native language. When Wu Tong spoke entirely in English, they held their breath, not daring to interrupt. "It's nothing. It's an invitation to an international mathematics conference. The scheduled speaker had a minor incident, and since I'm not currently making some progress in mathematics, they invited me to fill the gap. The conference is in late August, and I'm expected to fly to Hydra in Borneo. We'll be joining the professors from our school in our country attending the conference. We'll stay in the hotel the whole time, so it's safe," Wu Tong explained lightly, but the young woman was still proud to be invited to attend an international conference, especially since she was one of the keynote speakers, not just sitting there studying. "That's great, that's incredible. Our Tong has gone abroad and made a name for himself on the international stage. Let's celebrate together today." On the other side of the sofa, Jinzin, who was relaxing on the armrest, playing a game, suddenly felt his game lose its appeal. The Zhou conjecture, the twin prime conjecture,
These were just minor achievements in his sister's mind. So what were the bigger achievements? Thanks to a year of cramming for the Gaokao, his English was now at its peak. He'd also just happened to have come across the term International Congress of Mathematicians. ICM. Was his sister truly amazing? Her first step outside of the country was to take the podium at the most prestigious international mathematician conference, the ICM. He wanted to post a question: what should I do about my sister's incredible talent? As a brother, I was trembling with fear. Big brother Tong, are you still in need of a pendant? Jinzin asked, sprawled on the armrest, hands raised. Suddenly, for a moment, he wanted to give up on his career and become a freeloader. It was obvious to the naked eye that before he, as her brother, could even protect her from the elements, his sister had become a towering parasol. What good things are you dreaming about? Go and guard the border for your country. Su Mifang patted her son's shoulder with a smile, and the whole family laughed. Chapter 94 Appreciation. Although the actual meeting was still a month away, Wu Tong only had 10 days to prepare her report, leaving her with a tight schedule. She felt compelled to break her promise the moment she got home. After apologizing to her family, Wu Tong grabbed her laptop and began browsing. She didn't go to the study specifically, but stayed close to her family. She could see them when she looked up, and they could always see her when they came and went. She was completely absorbed in her studies, and she didn't demand much from the outside world. Even a noisy and chaotic environment was fine, let alone a relatively quiet home. Now that she had set a goal, she had to achieve it. She couldn't just talk, she had to act on it. The Polignac conjecture, which states that for all natural numbers k, there are infinitely many prime pairs, p plus 2k, where k is a positive integer, and the special case of k equals 1 is the twin prime conjecture. How could this conjecture be generalized to infinite natural numbers? Proving this conjecture would put a final stamp on some of Hilbert's eighth question. This premise rests on the very word proven. Continuing with Wu Tong's previous thinking on the twin prime conjecture, she wanted to first prove the bridge created by the twin primes, and then further refine it, hoping to create a tool capable of solving the Polignac conjecture. A craftsman must first sharpen his tools. Once he creates a good tool, solving the problem will naturally follow. Wu Tong possessed an immense knowledge base in the field of prime numbers, with access to commercially available materials and a myriad innovative ideas on arziv. She had researched countless papers and books on the subject, but she still had a long way to go before she could forge a truly powerful sword. Just as scattered pearls, without the string that held them together, could never become a world-class pearl necklace, what was the solution? A mathematical storm erupted in Wu Tong's mind once again, as she searched for information and endlessly deduced. Her pen, an extension of her mind, worked on the draft paper, eliminating the factors she needed one by one. The general direction of creating tools was correct. The bridge she built was able to successfully prove the twin prime conjecture, and the direction was indeed consistent. However, this bridge alone was not enough to extend the k equals I formula to the infinite natural world. It needed to be enriched with new content, transformed into a Tai Chi bridge, capable of suppressing all directions and connecting the yin and yang of the universe. That was her path to success. After 3 days of continuous multifaceted deductions, Wu Tong set her sights on group theory. Her previous work, Professor Hilbert's proof of the infinity of prime numbers, emerged from her stormy thoughts and gave her a glimmer of hope towards the final proof. Suddenly, the complex and disjointed ball of yarn had a clear beginning and end, becoming simple and clear. Wu Tong smiled softly. Her pen fluently wrote line after line of clear formulas. Given CG, GG, XG, thoughts flowed like a spring, sparks of inspiration continuously emerged, and the spark ignited into prairie fire, and a brand new proof tool was born. Based on the principle of infinite topological extension, supplemented by the sieve method, Wu Tong utilized group theory to comprehensively investigate and generalize the problem of the infinity of prime numbers. Wu Tong called this the infinite group proof method, weaving together various specialized mathematical symbols and numbers to create a mysterious and smooth path to the correct path. She spent half a day organizing the core content and specific steps of the infinite group proof method. With the perfect tools and everything ready, Wu Tong applied this to her current target, the Polignac conjecture. The problem, previously shrouded in a thick veil, finally had its true face revealed, having been hidden for years. A, C, B, C, mod M, yields AC, BC0, mod M, yielding, ob, C0, mod M, M, C, equals 1, meaning M and C are relatively prime, C can be cancelled out, and a, B0, mod M, yielding a B, mod M. The proposition that for all natural numbers k, there are infinitely many prime pairs, p plus 2k, has been proven true. When the final word true fell, it was as if heavenly music had descended upon the world. Yet another conjecture and problem that had plagued humanity had been transformed into a rule and theorem. She had successfully generalized k to an infinite number. Stretching her slightly stiff fingers, Wu Tong leaned back, closed her eyes, and breathed a sigh of relief. She had finally achieved her goal of conquering the polygnat conjecture without boasting. In her sea of consciousness, the radiant light of the Enlightenment steel expanded, nourishing Wu Tong's nearly parched and exhausted brain like a heavenly rain, replenishing the energy consumed by the last 2 days of intense mental activity. The light surrounding it grew even more intense. Initially, it was almost invisible, thin as a veil. Through Wu Tong's continuous learning, acquisition of knowledge, and several near epiphanies of knowledge, as well as the verification of major conjectures and difficult problems, and the nourishment of the power of knowledge, it now possessed a rich, almost milky hue, symbolizing the gradual recovery of the Enlightenment steel's power. A faint sense of enlightenment flowed through her heart, and the Enlightenment steel regained a new ability, absolute deduction. Everything Wu Tong saw could assist her in conducting in-depth deductions of its nature. Of course, this ability was only a preliminary restoration, capable of only deducing and simulating data, relying on Wu Tong's accumulated knowledge. However, for Wu Tong, it was a pleasant surprise. Absolute direction determination and absolute deduction seemed a perfect match. After a short break, Wu Tong began a new round of work. The proof had been completed, but it was still a draft, and she still needed to organize it into a complete report. This, however, wasn't much of a struggle. It took a day, and by the early morning of the 10th day, Wu Tong's actual birthday, July 29th, she had finished the report in the first draft of the paper, which she had uploaded directly to the website provided by ICM. After another night of moonrise and moonset, a deep rest, and a morning exercise, Wu Tong went downstairs to enjoy a hearty breakfast prepared by her family. Golden fried dough sticks, plump and chewy, refreshing pickles, sliced in half, egg yolk sizzling with red oil, and homemade salted duck eggs, Grandma's specialty. A palm-sized, crispy sesame seed bun, sandwiched between layers of thinly sliced braised beef, and a rice oil-simmered treasure porridge. Just looking at it was delightful, and tasting it was an even more divine experience. Wu Tong smiled and gave her grandmother and aunt a thumbs up. She had been working tirelessly on her research these past few days, and her family had been so accommodating and caring. Tong's research report is finished, Su Mifang asked cheerfully, noticing the bright light on Wu Tong's face, a stark contrast to his serious deliberation of the past few days. It's done. There's nothing else to do. Just wait until next month to go over there and give a report on it. Wu Tong nodded in confirmation. Chapter 95 Shock. Once you're done with your work, Tong, forget about anything else today. Just be the birthday girl and have a great birthday. In Grandma Jin's traditional view, the birthday girl holds the greatest honor. Great. I'm just looking forward to enjoying myself today. Grandpa, Grandma, I have some free time now. How about we go out for a walk? Any places you'd like to go? Hey, half of your pocket money, we'll both cover the expenses. With less than 2 weeks left before leaving for Borneo, she planned to spend time with her family. Studying and researching were her lifelong pursuits, but her life wasn't solely about them. Spending time with her family was a central priority that couldn't be compromised. She worked when she needed to and spent time with her family when she could. Spending time with her family was a time for her to relax and unwind. Solving 2 world-class conjectures within a month, each one more challenging than the last. While the twin primes conjecture and the polygnat conjecture share some causal and progressive relationship, they are inseparable entities. Despite her deductive ability, her absolute foundation, and her strong logical comprehension, she still felt her brain drained. Fortunately, the Enlightenment steel provided her with a timely restorative boost, otherwise she would have needed several days of rest to fully recover. Fortunately, while the challenge was difficult, the rewards were immense. Completing the proof of the Polignac conjecture and creating the infinite group proof method not only solved a world-class problem but also significantly reorganized Wu Tong's mathematical system, providing her with a deeper understanding and allowing her to grasp the knowledge accumulated over the past 6 months even more clearly. A well-fed man doesn't know the hunger of a hungry man. You only know how to exploit me, the poor commoner. Jin Zin rolled his eyes at his sister. How could she not know how much pocket money he had? Compared to the scholarships she had recently received, she was in dire straits. Sister, let's make a deal. You pay and I do the work. We'll join forces and become a perfect match. How about that? Nothing much? Everything has been prepared for you at home. What do you need pocket money for? Save it for having a baby. Comrade Su Mifang squinted at her own son. Grown men should take more responsibility. Why are you complaining so much? But we used your pocket money to arrange our trip. It's not easy for Tong to earn some scholarships. He also bought you a computer and gifts for the family. Do you have the nerve to let Tong pay? Okay. I'll pay for it, Comrade Su Mifang. You'll hurt your precious son's heart by doing this. Jin Zin acted like a prankster. He was just joking to liven up the atmosphere. From childhood to adulthood, when did he really let Tong pay? He turned to teacher Jin and leaned over. And, Uncle, are you sure Tong and I weren't mistaken? I feel like Tong is my mother's biological daughter. Jin Zin, you and Tong weren't born on the same day, month, or year. That's a good thing. Wu Jingzhong put down his bowl of porridge and, smiling, pointed out the truth. No one should try to confuse his precious daughter. Jin Zin, this playful character, was especially effective with Tong around. Your mother loves Tong, and I love you too. How about I give you 50 yuan to buy some candy later? Teacher Jin smiled and rubbed her nephew's head. She had never imagined that the sweetheart of the family wasn't her Tong, but this tall, burly boy. Her Tong's temper was fine when nobody was messing with him, but when he got angry, it was really annoying. Brother, I love you too. Wu Tong swallowed a bite of crispy sesame seed cake, avoiding the awkwardness of a scattered flower, and then came up with a brilliant move. The whole room erupted in laughter, with Jin Yongqing laughing especially loudly. His precious granddaughter, Haoxing, was his own child. While the Jin family rejoiced, thousands of miles away in Hydra, Alvin's mood was far less serene. He felt a double whammy of anxiety. Adhering to the traditional Chinese principle of swiftness and urgency, Alvin assumed Wu Tong would submit a report promptly, like her invited predecessors, without even waiting 10 days. However, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week passed, and still no report arrived. He wanted to urge her, but the 10-day deadline hadn't yet arrived. He could only suppress his anxiety and wait patiently, regretfully consoling himself that geniuses are all temperamental, and delays are simply inertia. He hoped she would uphold the Chinese virtue of quality and punctuality and submit a report on time. A day or two of delay was acceptable. On the 10th day, Alvin kept his back end open, periodically checking the report submission website, anticipating new updates. When the newly uploaded report finally appeared in the backend, it was like the voice of God to Alvin. Thank God, Wu is a punctual genius who respects time. You can finally put a perfect end to your work. Let's have a drink tonight to celebrate. A colleague beside him smiled and congratulated him. The report had arrived, and they could finally finish their work. However, Alvin's and his colleague's joy only lasted until he opened Wu Tong's uploaded report and saw the title clearly. His eyes widened, and he exclaimed aloud, "A new method of group proof and proof of the Polignac conjecture." What? His colleague thought he was deaf. Hey, Oriental Pearl, should Wu's topic be about proving the twin prime conjecture or the Zhou conjecture? Oh my god, these wayward geniuses. Alvin slapped his head in frustration. Wu's abstract says she combined topology, sieves, and group theory to construct a proof method based on infinite group theory, and used it to generalize K to infinite natural numbers, thus proving the Polignac conjecture. Oh my god, she really solved the Polignac conjecture again, topology, sieves, and group theory again? Why do I feel like you're talking about the Langlands program? Another colleague interjected, bewildered. Haha, you'll know after you take a look. Alvin smiled wryly and stepped aside. The rest of the office immediately gathered around him. There was a constant stream of exclamations of astonishment. They could imagine the shock this report would cause in the mathematical world once it was released. This mathematical genius from the East, if this report is verified, will likely be instantly hailed as a legend. Proving two world-class problems in a single month is an achievement that rivals even those who have won the Fields Medal. Every prime number researcher has tackled these conjectures, and in just a few months, 3 mathematical conjectures, world-class problems, have been solved in the hands of a young girl who is only 16 years old. Oh. Today she's 17. These achievements were made by her when she was only 16. The world will be amazed by her. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Crazy? Alvin sighed deeply. I'll report this to the higher-ups and let the experts determine the outcome. This isn't something we can judge. He couldn't just let himself worry about it. Pioneers like them were just the newcomers in mathematics, responsible for reserving venues, setting up venues, contacting presenters, tracking down manuscripts, and checking formatting, mundane tasks. As for reviewing, that was the job of the top experts on the mathematics committee. He could imagine that those experts would be just as shocked and overwhelmed as he was. He had originally just wanted Tong to organize his findings on the twin prime conjecture and submit a report, which would have been a great report. Who could have imagined that this genius, with his clearly different mindset, would actually throw such a bombshell, a truly groundbreaking new result? Was this result truly proven, or was it simply a case of the genius's pride slipping up? The experts would have to work overtime to verify it. With less than 20 days until the conference, this 70-80 page paper was going to be a real headache for the experts. As for the outcome, passing would astonish the world, witnessing the rise of a miracle. Falsification would mean this genius facing worldwide ridicule and missing out on the opportunity and honor of presenting at the World Congress of Mathematicians. He hoped for approval. Firstly, it would bring him the glory of having personally led the effort, but secondly, he would have to deal with new presenters, which would undoubtedly be a disaster. Professor John Bowles, head of the organizing committee for this International Congress of Mathematicians, had just finished his breakfast and was reflecting on his age and the fact that he was getting much less sleep than he had in his youth. He glanced out the floor-to-ceiling windows, where the sun shone brightly. It was early morning, and the bright sunshine was already evident, a beauty rarely seen in foggy weather. This alone brightened his mood. When the email message rang, he had already been thinking about lunch, not just the weather. Borneo is not a country known for its gourmet food. If it weren't for the excellent hotel, he wouldn't have been sure about his food. A message this early in the morning? Those guys down there are just too unstable, John Bowers muttered, opening the email to see what urgent matter it was that interrupted his rest so early. Wasn't the organizing committee's work basically finished? Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to enjoy this leisure time. Could he let the old man take a break? Organizing committee work is truly a terrible job. He absolutely won't take it again next time. Last time, he was driven to death by the willful Perlman. The prover of the Millennium Problem, the Poincaré conjecture, still didn't allow him to attend the International Congress of Mathematicians and receive the Fields Medal, making the previous International Congress of Mathematicians somewhat pale in comparison, and the glory of the Fields Medal was also dimmed. However, when he opened the email and read the title and abstract, his heart skipped a beat, and he felt a sharp pain in his teeth. Another restless International Congress of Mathematicians. The next time he took on such a damn job, he would be like a mosquito in the foggy city, drenched in the foggy city rain. Is this always disrespecting the elderly? He now declared that he hated variables. He knew the presenter had made a mistake, temporarily replacing the recently rising Oriental genius. While he admittedly lamented her age, her achievements were exceptional. Both the Joe conjecture and the twin prime conjecture were truly remarkable achievements in international mathematics this year, and she was still so young. Both had been praised by Andrew Wiles, the magnate of the English Fields Medal. That's why he decided to appoint this young genius as the remedial presenter. A new group proof and proof of the Polygnat conjecture? Using the infinite extension principle of topology into the sieve method, using the infinity of group theory, creating an infinite group proof method, ultimately proving the Polygnat conjecture? Oh my God, do not frighten your faithful lambs. Has this world gone mad? Bowles patted his chest and made the sign of the cross. He was nearly shocked to the point of cardiac arrest.
We're all mathematicians, and who doesn't know the Polignac conjecture? And now that little Oriental girl claims to have proved it using a new method? Wait, didn't she just prove the twin prime conjecture 2 weeks ago? 2 conjectures in a month? Is he crazy? Is his old eyes blurring the line, or is the world crazy? How can such a major achievement be made public and presented at a mathematicians' congress without rigorous and thorough verification? The International Congress of Mathematicians is about to begin in less than 20 days. What kind of nightmare is this? Let him wake up immediately. Damn it, he can't be the only one suffering. Those number theorists, Andrew, Albert, Terence Tao, Chu, and those lazy bastards who squeeze the work out of him, an old man, Deline, Feldman, and Witten, don't even think of sitting idle. Let them all do the calculations and verifications for him. It's been happily decided. We need to work together. He can't shoulder it all. There is a saying in China that goes, when there is blessing, everyone enjoys it together, when there is disaster, everyone bears it together. It's really well said. In any case, if it is really proven, the progress of mathematics will always make people happy. They convene the International Congress of Mathematicians, isn't it, to discuss and exchange new progress? So, Bowles knocked on them one by one. When Wu Tong was busy and had some free time, she didn't know what kind of busyness and shocker butterfly wings had set off in the top circles of the entire mathematical community. In Princeton, at Andrew Wiles's residence, he was still listening to gorgeous music, quietly enjoying the beauty of the night. The world does not understand the beauty of the night. The phone rang, and he frowned and picked it up. My dear John, you know, it's late at night in the United States, my best time, so, you'd better have something urgent. That Eastern genius you praised? Oh, you mean Wu? Yes, she's quite interesting. Her twin prime conjecture is brilliant. If it weren't so late, I'd happily recommend her for an hour-long presentation. Haha, maybe I don't need your recommendation. Checking my email now, I sent you a paper. Your little girl claims she's proved the Polignac conjecture again. Review it, Andrew. I'll notify the others. Bowles hung up the phone and moved on to the next one. Jet lag or not, this was work time, and he was the center of attention. Polignac conjecture, Andrew was so shocked he nearly crushed the wine glass in his hand. This little girl can truly surprise people with miraculous results. If she truly proved it, a 1-hour presentation wouldn't require his recommendation. The organizing committee would be pleased to pave the way for such a major achievement. Chapter 97 Gaokao. Regardless of whether Wu Tong had actually proved the Polignac conjecture, her status as the prover of both the Zhou conjecture and the twin prime conjecture made every top researcher disturbed by Bowles treat her with extreme caution, beginning their day and night verification and validation. No one could deny the report of a prover of the two worlds conjecture without verification. After seeing her parents and uncle off to work, Wu Tong called Teacher Li. It really did match her fleeting guess that day. She had been working on the project faster than the funding was being released. She needed to discuss with Teacher Li how to proceed with a project she had applied for at the university. I was just thinking of calling you to say happy birthday. What did you say? Li Yishan thought he'd misheard. Wu Tong's smile froze, a moment of amusement. Teacher Li, you heard me right. I've solved the Polignac conjecture. Do I need to go through the completion process for the project I applied for? Wu Tong laughed. Was it really that shocking? She, the one who figured it out, didn't feel much of it yet. It wasn't a millennium problem. Oh my, Li Yishan swallowed hard, patting his head to clear his mind. I need to digest this. Wu Tong, thank goodness your heart is still in good shape. Aren't you on vacation at home? How did he suddenly come up with a Polignac conjecture? Wu Tong had only been home for 10 days. Was there something wrong with his memory? Did he get the time wrong? 10 months and 10 years had already passed? Didn't Professor Zhou say that Wu Tong had received an invitation from the International Congress of Mathematicians to give a 45-minute report? When the news came, they at Peking University were so happy. In the whole of China, only a handful of people were invited this year. The fact that Wu Tong was invited was enough to show how brilliant her achievements this year were. Peking University is so proud of her. Shouldn't she be organizing the report on the twin prime conjecture these days? I suddenly received an international invitation, and since I didn't have anything to show for it, I squeezed in the Polignac conjecture I'd just started, and solved it. The time given by the organizing committee was a bit tight, and I only finished it today, the 10th day before the deadline,
And I just uploaded it not long ago. Listen. Since when did proofs of Zhou's conjecture and the twin prime conjecture become unusable? Li Yisheng suddenly felt the need to prepare a bottle of quick-acting heart pills, in case his students made surprising moves. That was the International Congress of Mathematicians. Was it really proven? As a teacher, Li Yisheng was shocked at first, but still worried about Wu Tong's academic reputation. He didn't doubt Wu Tong's ability, but 2 conjectures in 1 month, each more important than the other, meant no room for error. Have you finished the paper? If you have a backup, send me a copy. I'll discuss it with some of the school's top experts. Wu Tong, I'm not doubting you, but we shouldn't fight a battle we're not sure of. I know, Professor Li. I'll send you the paper and reports via email. Please take care of the finalization. The funding hasn't arrived yet, so I don't have to bother with a refund. Haha. Li Yisheng really wanted to go back and see the faces of the school's top leaders. He had finally caught up with Wu Tong's project proposal. The Academic Affairs Office probably wanted to issue the proposals at the end of the month, perhaps in August. However, Wu Tong's speed wasn't typical. He'd submitted the proposal, and before the funding had even arrived, he'd already produced the proof. This was a historic record for project applications at the school. Those guys in the finance department were going to get the short end of the stick this time. Don't worry about that. Leave the rest to me. Li Yisheng wiped his face, all sleepiness gone. He was now alert. He was ready to report Wu Tong's astonishing feat to Dean Pan, Professor Zhou, and the others one by one. Before presenting any conclusions internationally, they at Peking University must first verify them. Given Wu Tong's usual style, it's very likely that they've truly proven their claims. With 2 world-class results in a month and 3 conjectures broken in 6 months, Wu Tong's name will go down in the annals of world mathematics. Their school is truly about to produce a world-class scholar. If it weren't for the short time frame and lack of sufficient time to mature, with Wu Tong's string of significant achievements, she would certainly have coveted this year's Fields Medal. Of course, given Wu Tong's age and the peak of her productive career, even if she wins the Fields Medal 4 or 8 years from now, she'll still be the youngest recipient. While many were thrilled by her, Wu Tong actually had some free time, happily celebrating her 17th birthday with her family that day. The family decided on a destination, not far off, Mount Tai in neighboring Shandong province. As children, we learned, after returning from Mount Tai, look no further than Mount Wang. After reaching the summit, look no further than Mount Wang. When you reach the summit, you'll see all the other mountains below. These eloquent passages are still fresh in our minds. Although Mount Tai was less than 600 kilometers away, the family had never been there. After some research, they decided to go, leaving no one behind. After 2 days of preparation, on Friday afternoon, they picked up Comrade Wu and teacher Jin, who were coming home from get-off work, and the 7 of them happily set off. Jin Yuan borrowed a 9-seater commercial vehicle from a friend, with Jin Yuan and Wu Jingzhong taking turns driving, occupying the front and rear passenger seats. Jinzhen, who had just gotten his driver's license during the summer vacation, could only watch from the sidelines. He wasn't yet qualified to drive on the highway, so he could only envy them with eager anticipation. The 2 elders of the Jin family occupied the second row, teacher Jin and comrade Su Mifang the third, and Wu Tong and Jinzhen had the 3 seats in the last row to themselves. They stepped on the accelerator and sped off from the county town onto the highway. The car was a good brand, a Mercedes-Benz Vito. Although it was only a basic entry-level MPV, Jin Yuan still praised its performance. Sure enough, it drives much smoother than my old Volkswagen, and the engine is okay too. The best part is the layout. It's just right for our family to travel. The space and seats are comfortable, and everyone can stretch out. He still has to make more money. You get what you pay for. His car only has 5 seats, which is fine for daily outings, but it's not enough for a family outing. How about we buy another car? Wu Tong suggested again. He had suggested it twice when the scholarship was approved, but no one in the family agreed, so they had to give up. Tong, don't fight. We can still do it. This is motivation for your dad and I to work hard. When we are old, you can show your filial piety to us, and we will never refuse. Jin Yuan hurriedly continued to argue. They were still young and strong, so how could they use their children's money? Tong's bonus should be kept well. There will be many places to spend the money in the future. It is not easy to live in Beijing. It has been like this since ancient times. Tong will most likely stay in Beijing to work in the future. I heard that the school has given her a housing benefit bonus this time, and she needs to make up some of the mortgage payment. They are just trying to squeeze in, so they want to prepare more for the child. Every penny counts to help the child, so how can they spend money indiscriminately? Tong cannot touch the money in her hands. Chapter 98 Ambition. I'm at work right after I leave the house. Your mom's job is only 2 blocks from our house, so she can't stop driving. Wu Jingzhong still had this opinion, which was really useless. This included the property. Because of Tong's outstanding performance, some people in society even wanted to give Tong property as a gift, arranging better treatment for them. However, they were used to being honest and believed that nothing would come for free. If it wasn't theirs, they wouldn't take it, as they didn't want to cause trouble for their child. Both his wife and he had jobs, and Tong was excellent, so they didn't have to pay for anything. They also had their own house. Tong could see that they could own property in Beijing, and life would be great for their family. Okay, if you change your mind, let me know anytime. If it's really enough, you don't have to worry about housing at Beijing University. My scholarship will cover it, and there's even more. Wu Tong held her forehead. Her family still insisted on their opinion. As expected, she wasn't enough to reassure them. They might not agree to buy it in the short term, but what if it was a gift as a reward? Wu Tong simply connected her phone to the internet and searched for some information on dynamics and engines. She remembered that she seemed to have heard that domestic engines had some shortcomings. The determination of absolute direction and the coordination of absolute deduction. She wanted to try to see if she could use the parameters revealed by foreign engines to make some optimization directions for domestic engines. First, she would look for some information to learn whether she could find an effective solution. If she could find some useful advice, she could change to a similar car, which should be okay. Wu Tong was not very sure. After all, it was just a try. If it works, it would be good. If not, she would not be discouraged. This was just a tentative step from theory to application, and she could just regard it as accumulating experience. If she could really make some contribution to the domestic engine industry, it would also be a good thing. Engines, whether they are cars, airplanes, or even ships, aircraft carriers, and rockets, are the most important parts. A strong engine is a necessary condition to support the operation of these big guys. All functions are based on the fact that the power of the heart, the engine, is strong enough to achieve higher other operations. An engine converts the thermal energy of gasoline into mechanical energy by burning and expanding the gases within a sealed cylinder. Internal combustion engines typically convert chemical energy into mechanical energy, powering a vehicle. Compared to gasoline engines, diesel engines offer higher efficiency and lower fuel consumption, as well as greater power and the ability to efficiently drive larger vehicles. The high-speed internet connection was impressive. Wu Tong and Jinzin exchanged directions for finding information. Jinzin had a wealth of dynamics data on his phone to share. All necessary admissions procedures had been completed, and Jinzin's qualifications met the requirements for admission to the University of Science and Technology of China. His family had a clean political background and no criminal record. He had been accepted into the military academy through the early admissions process, and he had already received his acceptance letter, much to his family's delight. After deciding on his chosen field, he diligently studied, attempting to self-study university mathematics and reviewing simple dynamics and other scientific topics. Compared to others, he had Tong as a natural helper in self-studying university textbooks, especially in math. Given his younger sister's current math level, teaching and assisting him was no small feat. Given such resources, he'd be foolish not to put in the effort. Such a waste of resources deserves to be struck by lightning. The two of them clearly defined their role, entertaining their parents with colorful attire, chatting and amusing them, sharing the history and interesting anecdotes of the counties and cities they passed through, and providing brief introductions to their destinations, helping them pass the time on the road. While the elders rested, they remained quiet, studying or relaxing in the back seat. Wu Tong hadn't been particularly interested in cars, and naturally, before this, he hadn't delved deeply into engines. At most, he'd heard a few things while attending classes. Only after truly engaging with simple information on the subject did Wu Tong truly gain a basic understanding of domestic engines. China's industry started relatively late, initially by disassembling foreign engines for reverse engineering. In this area, one must admire the formidable skill and dedication of their predecessors. The development of domestic engines encountered many setbacks in its early stages. Thanks to the support and hard work of generations of Chinese people, domestic engines have finally achieved rapid progress. China has now largely mastered the technology for independent research and development, but a significant gap remains between domestically produced and imported engines, particularly in the aerospace sector, where heart disease is a devastating problem. The more they delve into this historical past, the more deeply they worry for Wu Tong and Jin Xin, both Chinese citizens. The limited online resources available are mostly superficial. Wu Tong plans to ask her teacher for more detailed recommendations. Having witnessed such difficult history, she's eager to see if she can contribute something with her own abilities. Jin Xin agrees on this point. I must study hard, Tong. I need you to give me some more guidance on math to build a solid foundation. After school starts, I'll focus on my specialized courses and build the most powerful fighter jet ever, making China unrivaled. Jin Xin gritted her teeth and whispered a lofty resolution to Wu Tong. Young men have lofty ambitions and speak of no worries. Why not take up the Wugu and conquer the 50 states of Guanshan? What man wouldn't be passionate? Wu Tong nodded. The young man had such a firm goal. His single-minded dedication to learning was a good thing. A goal always gives one endless motivation to strive for progress. She couldn't guarantee his aptitude for other subjects, but she was confident in math. He could rest assured and just accept the indoctrination. She would cram even the basics of university math into his head as quickly as possible. Tong, your smile is giving me the creeps. Jin Xin's instincts kicked in, suggesting something was amiss. My body is fragile and can't handle your brunt. Don't worry, young man. Have fun these 2 days. I'll make arrangements for you when we get back. Wu Tong continued to smile without specifying any specifics. This was the young man's request. So don't regret it or fear it. Wu Jingzhong and Jin Yuan took turns driving, and the journey went smoothly. It took just over 6 hours, and they arrived at their hotel near Mount Tai before midnight for a rest. Traveling with the elderly, they couldn't rush their itinerary. They planned to rest overnight and then slowly ascend the next day, enjoying the scenery as they went, taking frequent breaks, and spending the entire day slowly ascending. The magnificent sunrise over Mount Tai was unmissable, so they planned to spend the night atop the mountain to watch it, then find a new route down the mountain to fully appreciate the splendor of Mount Tai from different locations. Peach Blossom Spring, Nanshanmen, Biksha Temple, Yuhuingding, the Sea of Clouds and Jade Discs, Twilight Sunsets, the Golden Belt of the Yellow River, the Rising Sun, one magnificent and vast natural landscape after another. They were also fortunate to witness the Biksha Baoguang. Thanks to Jin Xin and Wu Tong's detailed planning, the family was thoroughly entertained during their 2-day trip, making the trip a truly worthwhile experience. Chapter 99 Stunning. Grandma Jin sighed with emotion. Wow, no wonder so many people are eager to leave. I'm so lucky to have seen the best mountain in the world. This is it. It's worth the trip. Grandma's life is worth it. The 2 old bones, even at their old age, are blessed with grandchildren. The 2 children have been doing a lot of hard work along the way. On the difficult roads, Jin Xin took the lead, carrying Jin Yongqing on his back. Wu Tong carried Grandma the entire way, and Jin Yuan and Wu Jingzhong provided support. They wanted to lend a hand, but they weren't really needed. They were assigned to look after teacher Jin and Ms. Su, and they also carried the weight up the mountain. The family wasn't too surprised. Jin Xin's strength had improved with years' physical training, and Wu Tong had been doing morning exercises, which he hadn't used before, but now he realized that he had some strength. The family was delighted by Wu Tong's strength. Having some strength to protect himself when he was alone was a great help. Jin Yongqing's protests were utterly suppressed by Wu Tong, who had no choice but to comply with her beloved granddaughter's request, carried on her grandson's back, watched over by her son and son-in-law. Grandma, we've only just begun. Later, I'll take you to climb the Great Wall, visit the Forbidden City, see the Great Hall of the People, the monument, and explore the grasslands. We've only just seen one of the 5 sacred mountains, and there are still the 4 sacred mountains and Huangshan. There are so many more beautiful sights to see in China, not just abroad. Take care of yourself, Grandma. We have a lot of time to live. Wu Tong smiled and counted on her fingers with Grandma. A year wasn't too much, even 1 or 2 outings would be enough for the family to enjoy for decades. Oh my. Grandma, then I'll be a centenarian. Grandma Jin smiled, her wrinkles smoothing out. She couldn't be so greedy for such a wonderful life. As long as the children were well, that was more important than anything else. Isn't that a good thing? I'm hoping for your good health, Teacher Jin replied with a smile. Her daughter had become more understanding and sensible, and her temper had softened considerably. Ha ha ha, the whole family laughed heartily, their harmonious laughter spreading across Mount Tai. Wu Jingzhong and Jinyu had to go to work on weekdays, and the family returned home under the starlight. They had a great time on their trip. After a quick tidy up at home, they all went to bed. Since Wu Tong rarely came home, the couple had been staying here from time to time recently, so that the elderly could spend more time with the children. After a few days of reflection and verification, the deep-sea bombs Wu Tong had dropped had also yielded shocking results. The Polignac conjecture had indeed been proven by that little girl from the East, and she had also brought a new method and tool to the mathematical community, which was a new advancement in mathematics. Princeton, Andrew Wiles' office. After repeated arguments, he couldn't help but sigh deeply to the person opposite him. Deline, tell me, are we getting old? This child, her youth is truly enviable. It's like seeing gauze in the flesh. Yes, even more than her final proof of the Polignac conjecture, I'm more amazed by her method for proving infinite groups. My teacher, Alexander, was also amazed by this new method. Topology, sieves, group theory. We seem to be seeing the dawn of a grand unification of mathematics. This is the embryonic form of a new program. Those folks working on the Langlands program must be thrilled, Vicomte de Deline, Fields Medal winner and prover of the wheel conjecture, exclaimed heartfeltly. But the time is too short. The International Mathematical Union needs time to process and finalize her proof. Otherwise, with these contributions, she would have been among the recipients of this year's Fields Medal, Mr. Grothendieck also saw this child's proof. The Emperor of Mathematics, Andrew Wiles, was surprised, not expecting that even he would be impressed. Of course, the professor always keeps an eye on new advances in mathematics. This kid solved 3 mathematical conjectures in just 6 months. How could he ignore such impressive achievements? I've booked a flight to Hydra to meet this kid in person at this mathematicians' congress. I'm also here to convey a few words to her on behalf of my teacher. Andrew, aren't you going? How could I? This is the Pearl of the Orient, the place I first discovered. How could I miss her presentation at this mathematicians' congress? Andrew Wiles spread his hands proudly. He was the first to witness this kid's rise. I think Tao wouldn't miss it either. I saw his exclamation on Facebook, Tao said, his heart already soaring to August Hydra, listening to the response from a century-old fantasy. I heard she's only 17 this month and hasn't even started college yet. If possible, I really want to lure her to Princeton. At this moment, Andrew Wiles still remembered some of his responsibilities as the head of Princeton's mathematics department. She's not even studying. Her knowledge is enough to get her a full professorship in the Department of Mathematics at Princeton. Congratulations, Wu Tong, you've amazed the world once again. Li Yisheng's voice was filled with excitement. After repeated verification by the experts in the School of Mathematics, they had only one result. Wu Tong had truly proved the Polignac conjecture. The miracle of proving 2 conjectures in 1 month had been born from a Peking University student. The School of Mathematics was practically broadcasting the news online, with banners all over the city announcing their joy. Peking University was eagerly awaiting the arrival of September, which would immediately secure Wu Tong's place at Peking University, eliminating this awkward, twilight period. No one could have imagined that in just 2 or 3 months, from the college entrance exam to the start of school, or even just July, Wu Tong would have proven 2 of the world's most difficult problems in one fell swoop, the twin prime conjecture and the Polignac conjecture. Peking University was so embarrassed that they hadn't even received the funding they had requested for the project. Of course, compared to Wu Tong's achievements, these were insignificant triumphs. I will help you with the completion of the project. The school has already allocated the funds. Do you have any arrangements you want? If not, I will help you with the office arrangements for the Union House. The extra money will be your bonus for the past 2 months. The speed of allocation has been slow, and the school is too embarrassed to take back the funds. Otherwise, they will be embarrassed to enjoy this honor. For the house in Union, before you leave Beijing this time, go through the settlement procedures and the house will be directly registered in your name. There is no need to pay the difference. The previous bonus for the twin prime conjecture has been arranged to be remitted into your account. Remember to check and receive it. Li Yisheng talked about the additional rewards that Peking University gave to Wu Tong for his shocking performance. For a child like this, why should they add housing money? Just switch to a special talent reward. Peking University is even studying whether to make a special appointment and hire Wu Tong as a professor in the Department of Mathematics of Peking University. If they don't step up their efforts to recruit talents in an unconventional way, they will be poached by other shameless people. Chapter 100 Benefit. Just thinking about it would drive the University of Beijing crazy. Anyone who dared to raise a hand would break their claws. This was now the unanimous consensus of all the top leaders at the University of Beijing. Wu Tong was from the University of Beijing. Wu Tong was from the University of Beijing. I've said this 3 times, no one can try to sabotage this. After explaining everything Wu Tong needed to know and confirming her departure time for Beijing, Li Yishan hung up the phone, still feeling a sense of regret. He had been so impressed by her talent at the time, but he had never imagined that with the support of sufficient knowledge and resources, Wu Tong would rise so rapidly. Wu Tong's achievements were beyond description, like a rising star in mathematics. She was like the blazing sun, shining brightly in the sky, dazzling and dazzling. She was the absolute leader, the pillar of the university. The future they had hoped for had become a reality in just a few short days. Old Joe from the admissions office was overwhelmed with pride. A peacock spreading its feathers was not enough to describe his current elation. Participating in the special recruitment for Wu Tong and successfully securing her admission to Peking University was the proudest moment of his life. His ability to secure a spot as Wu Tong's advisor was a source of envy and resentment among his colleagues. The remaining 2 spots for Wu Tong's advisor were eagerly awaited, ready to liaise and secure them. Even though the role of advisor has shifted from academic guidance to a more personal stewardship, many were eager to take the position. As for being Wu Tong's true academic advisor, well, a few top professors were willing to take the plunge. The rest of the faculty wouldn't even dare to mention the role. Their academic achievements were inferior to their students, so how could they possibly have the nerve to truly teach? Regardless of the turmoil in the world, Wu Tong's fame spread with astonishment. At home, Wu Tong was a pampered child in the palm of her family's hand, enjoying their unwavering love and affection. On August 15th, the eve of the International Congress of Mathematicians, Wu Tong set sail again, bound for Peking University. All the attendees of this International Congress of Mathematicians were departing from Shanghai. She would fly to Shanghai first, rest briefly, and then reunite with professors and students from Beijing University and other participants in the ICM. The ICM opened on August 19th, and they would depart together on the 17th. The flight from Shanghai, China to Borneo Hydro required a connection, taking nearly 24 hours, so she needed to allow ample time. Beijing University had already arranged all the necessary visas and other formalities. On the 5th, the organizing committee had already approved her report. Li Yishan was waiting at the airport early to pick up Wu Tong. This time, he didn't go directly to the Beijing University campus, but took her to Yunnan. This is Beijing University's faculty apartment complex. Due to the increasingly high housing prices in Shanghai, Beijing University's faculty housing is very cost-effective, and many lecturers rely on university subsidies to live outside the university. An average senior high school student would only get a 2-bedroom apartment in Yunnan. Beijing University had truly invested heavily in Wu Tong. Peking University's own faculty housing, designed by professional architects, prioritizes comfort and practicality. Li Yishan showed Wu Tong an apartment on the 6th floor of Building 7, located in the heart of the community. Each apartment has 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, each with a single floor. With minimal common area, and the balcony included as a bonus, the 160 square meters of interior space is substantial. The decor is elegant and simple, similar to hotels. The dining and living rooms connect to the large balcony, offering exceptionally expansive views. This is the closest faculty apartment to the university. There's a direct bus to campus, only 2 or 3 stops away, about 10 minutes. The apartment is fully renovated and has all the basic amenities, so you can move right in. Considering your needs, I furnished your study. Since Wu Tong wasn't old enough to drive, Li Yishan began by introducing the room. He then opened the room opposite the master bedroom and focused on its details. For Wu Tong's research, a comfortable and comprehensive study is essential. Like the master bedroom and living room, the study enjoys a sunny layout, furnished with light wooden bookshelves, desks, and chairs, and is fully equipped with a computer, printer, and other office supplies. There are already many books on the bookshelf, mainly in the mathematics section. Wu Tong's eyes fell on the single sofa with a small coffee table by the window. It must be a good choice to relax there when you need to change your mind. Do you like it? Here is the suggestion of my wife, Teacher Chen, who said you should like it. Li Yishan touched his nose. He was not so meticulous. Or maybe his wife despised him and helped him add some detailed soft planning. You can't expect other people's children to be buried in piles of books every day. It's good. Thank you teachers for your trouble, Wu Tong thanked him. It was beyond her imagination. She originally thought it was just an empty house, and she was going to throw it somewhere and wait until she was free or her family was free to deal with the decoration and layout. Now, everything is in place at one go. Both she and her family can move in at any time. It is so convenient. Teacher Li, how much did you spend in total? I'll transfer it to you. Don't let you run around and still have to pay for it. She took a quick look around and knew she had some basic knowledge. She had an intuitive feeling that even if she included the 100,000 yuan budget, it wouldn't be enough, right? Don't worry, I didn't spend any of it. The decoration and home appliances are all basic configurations of the house. I helped you set up the study. The highlight is the computer, which has higher configurations and cost a little more money. For the rest, Teacher Chen helped make a list and bought some simple daily necessities. The money is enough, and there is still 40,000 to 50,000 yuan left. If there's anything else missing, you can buy it yourself when you have time. It's already very good. Wu Tong didn't have too many extravagant pursuits for home life. Thank you, Teacher Li. Teacher Li helped her run around. She didn't worry about anything and just sat back and enjoyed the results. What are you thanking me for? The school didn't let me work in vain. I'll need your help later. I've been working on the optimal solution for linear operators lately, and I'm stuck. I need your help to enlighten me. I'm also publishing in C-Zone 1 journal, which is just a small qualification. Li Yishan, a wise teacher, has nothing to be ashamed of asking his students for advice. If he doesn't cherish such a privilege, he will be pretending to be noble. Who knows how many people will laugh at him for being a fool. Thanks to you, I'm also among those traveling to the International Congress of Mathematicians at the school's expense. Wu Tong had already benefited him with many benefits without her knowing. What's the big deal about helping her with such a simple chore? How many people want to do it but don't have the chance? No problem, Teacher Li, let's discuss it together. Wu Tong agreed without hesitation, not in the name of guidance, but simply said to discuss it. Learning is a process of continuous exploration, and working in isolation is the worst. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.